Pacers are in the Eastern Conference Finals.
Joseph Newgarden goes back-to-back, wins the 108th running of the Indianapolis 500-mile race.
This is the Fan Morning Show with KB, JB, and Jeff.
It's another game day at 93.5, 107.5 The Fan. Game 4 tonight, the NBA Finals. The Indianapolis Pacers, or the Indiana Pacers here in downtown Indianapolis is what I'm trying to say.
About to get beat up,
I know. Look, it feels like people like Stephen A. have been wanting to beat up on Indiana and Indianapolis the entire week. And I don't know if you saw this the other day, but Mark Boyle, right in the middle of the broadcast the other night, just took on ESPN, just lambasted him for about 20 seconds.
Mark, we should re-edit the intro there. Mark Boyle's words say the Pacers are back in the Eastern Conference Finals. How about the NBA Finals? 2 games away. I don't know. It just...
Did I say Eastern Conference or NBA Finals?
No.
Okay.
I think you said it correctly. I was mentioning, like, oh my gosh, guys. Guys, if they win tonight, they're 1 game away. I don't know if it's hit you, like, at these different levels, but I don't know. I felt like for some reason driving in, I actually did a radio hit with this with a daily wager or daily tip driving in, and it's amazing, like, when you hear it from other sides of, like, wow, what can the Pacers do to win it all? I'm like, well, I mean, hell, they're up 2-1 and they got home court. I mean, like, I don't know. I kind of laugh at some of these lines still. I'm like, I feel like the Pacers are going to win the NBA Finals.
Do you feel like a lot of it, though, guys, is I see these guys on social media, on Twitter or TikTok or whatever, and I feel like they've lost a lot of money betting against the Pacers over the last 2 weeks, and they're getting increasingly frustrated, and you can hear almost the anger in voices of people who don't care about the Pacers one way or the other 2 weeks ago.
Neither here nor there. Where's the jersey? The YouTube chat.
We're gonna put it on.
They're demanding that you put on the jersey.
I'm gonna go get it right
Good
now.
luck.
Yeah, you guys do your thing. I'll be right back.
Did it work last game when he didn't wear it for the first segment?
But they're demanding. I'm just a man of the people.
It on.
So maybe he's following
James
the
Boyd,
same
please
script
ask
here.
It's
Jeff
right
to
upstairs.
put on the jersey.
Yes, I will go
You're
do
the
that.
good luck charm.
I will do that. I will do that coming up in a minute. Look, they're 2-0 so far when I've worn the jersey. So there you go. That's exactly what. Now, what were your? You went to the game the other night. You going to the game again tonight?
That is the plan.
And you're back again tonight too?
Yep, I will be up late.
All right, I'm looking forward to that. I'm just curious. You guys don't have to worry about like sitting in the same chair at home or standing in the same place or anything like that, right?
I would say I'm a little more professional, certainly when I'm at the game. And
I know it's
a lot
crazy.
of it has to do with, I don't know if I could just stand up for an entire game like I do at home sometimes when it gets tense, but I'm just looking forward to what the Thunder do perhaps to counter what the Pacers were able to do in Game 3, because at this level of the sport, the highest level, you're going to have some new wrinkles kind of unfolded. So I just wonder if OKC can perhaps stick with that 2 big lineup. I know that's what worked for them all season, but it seems like that has given them problems because either, one, you're going to get Isaiah Hartenstein in coverage with Tyrese Halliburton, who will cook him, or 2, your other big can't run the floor that as well as the Pacers do. So there are certainly some things for OKC to consider. And again, I go back to Game 1. They threw one of their cards out there in Game 1 by changing up their starting lineup, and it didn't work. I know they stuck with their starting lineup since then, but I'm like, man, what other wrinkles can you roll out there?
Yeah, and that's the great thing. I mean, Rick Carlisle has got so much experience in these situations. He just seems to almost have at least an idea, if nothing else, on how to attack things from game to game. And we've seen that throughout the last 2 postseasons.
Miles Turner not on the injury report. I know that was a big topic yesterday. It sounded like he wasn't necessarily present for everything the Pacers did yesterday, but that illness does not have him on the injury report, so expect Miles Turner to play tonight. He actually played a lot of minutes for him the other night. He still played. I think it was the most minutes he played in the last 5 playoff games. I know that was a storyline we talked about yesterday.
That was Rick, man, just thinking, if you can sweat out the cold in Game 3, you'll be good for Game 4.
Right, I know. I always thought that was
chess,
a thing.
not checkers,
I know,
JB.
man. He's a veteran.
Chess, not checkers.
Rick strikes me as someone that probably has medical school history in his past. I think something that, again, I did a poor job. I don't want to speak for all of us, but I did a poor job yesterday. I don't think I talked about the Pacers' defense enough.
I don't think any of us have the entire postseason, to be honest with you. We've mentioned it, but I don't think we've drilled down on it.
I thought especially Game 3. It just felt like Shea had to work, really, really, really work. And, he only had 24. And I thought they did a nice job of making him work on both ends, especially. I thought they hunted him a little bit more. I thought Tyrese Halliburton was very aggressive, in particular when Shea was the primary defender on him. But I just thought the pick and rolls, and obviously Nembhard and Neesmith got into some foul trouble. But I thought they did a much better job of keeping SGA away from his spot. So I think that'll continue to be a storyline as this series plays out.
There's some empirical evidence to back that up. I know Kevin O'Connor had a quote about this, or a stat about this yesterday, and I'll find it exactly what it was, but it talked about how often Shea Alexander, just how much he had to work, and how often, like, Tyrese went at him on offense. They made him a point of attack on something like 80%. I'll find the stat, but they just really made him work as much as they could defensively as well.
Yeah, that's what you have to do with the great players. You can't let them be a one-way player, and SGA is arguably the best scorer in the world. He's averaged 30 points a game a season for the last 3 seasons. So obviously he can fill it up. But I thought that on both sides of the floor, they really got after him. They made sure that he did not feel comfortable all night. And to give some more flowers to that defense, Kevin, they just wore him down. And honestly, I didn't think of it as this big of a weakness, but OKC not having a secondary shot creator is a huge flaw in their roster. And I know they have a great roster, but knowing Sam Presti, all the picks they have, even win or lose this series, going into next year, I would expect them to get rid of some of that and get somebody else, because unlike the Pacers, when Tyrese is being heavily guarded or he just doesn't have it going, you can throw it to Andrew Nembhard. He can go get your offense running. You got throw it obviously to Benedict Mathurin. He can go get a bucket. It's just not the same with OKC as far as one-on-one scoring or just ball handling in general.
Kevin, I found that. Kevin O'Connor, who covers the NBA, said Shea Gilgeous-Alexander was the closest defender on 23 shots by the Pacers in Game 3. That's the highest amount of any game for SGA all season long, regular or postseason. Indiana got him involved in actions over and over and over, and at the pace they play, and then you make him work hard on offense too. They probably just wore him down by the fourth quarter.
I would like to know how many shots were made off of that defense, because, again, they definitely put it on him.
I think it's a little two birds with one stone. He probably is their weakest defender more often than not when he's on the floor, so that helps. But also, I do think that's where you get hands on the hips late, and obviously that is something I've stressed
the Macarena
all series long. That's probably the only dance I can do is the Macarena.
Yeah, real quickly, too, just Treetop. I know you guys finished up coverage of spring ball, for lack of a better word, OTAs, mini camp, whatever you want to call it. The Colts finish up yesterday. Anything of note come out of there?
Not really. We talked to Daniel Jones, and he is like Shane Steichen Jr. when it comes to press conferences. Not a lot of information coming out of there when it comes to insights or color. Got a smile out of him asking him who's the best golfer on the team. Is it him or Alec Pierce? And he wouldn't say. But he did say the reason why he's picked up the offense so well is he's just been in the playbook. They were singing his praises about his approach, and I'll be the guy who puts it out there. I did ask him. I said, "Hey, Anthony Richardson's not here. He's hurt right now. Well, he was there, but he's not playing right now. Do you view that as an opportunity to go seize a starting job?" And he was like, "Well, just here to be a good teammate, learn the playbook." And the one thing about Daniel Jones I find interesting, and it doesn't really matter, since he's been here, he has not said, "I want to start." And I'm thinking to myself, when will you say this? When they name you the starter? Because, it's I don't know. In competitiveness is shared in different ways, but I'm thinking, man, I would just like the guy to can I get some honesty here? You didn't come here to, ride the bench and be a good teammate. Came here because you thought you were going to start, and you have a good chance to.
I think he's probably, KB, just not wanting to stir up any kind of controversy or
Which
step
is fine.
away from it, not insert himself in
that was probably an 8 out of 10 baiting question, so I will take the L on that one.
New York media scar tissue.
Yeah.
Probably.
Yeah, it's a,
he starts itching behind his ear when the topic comes up.
I would call it a pretty dry media session with old Daniel Jones yesterday. I thought it's very solid, though, in the handful of viewings we got this spring.
The actual play, he was fine.
Nothing very flashy, but
again, consistent.
I thought pretty steady, and that's what they're looking for. So nothing until July 22nd here for the Colts. That's when they will report to training camp. So if there's Colts news between now and then, it's probably not good Colts news between now and then. So summer vacation is here. And as we sit here on this Friday morning, to Mark Dykton, to Jeff Rickard, to Papa Boyd, happy Father's Day.
Oh, wow. That's coming up on Sunday.
Thank you. I'll call my son later today, but no.
I've got my 15-year-old in the studio with us today. Did you hear that, big guy?
I was going to say, Grant in studio. Grant, happy Father's Day to your dad. My father, Brad Bowen, happy Father's Day, dads. My father-in-law, Mike Lubbers, happy Father's Day as well. So It's always one of my favorite weekends of the year with U.S. Open, of course, falling on Father's Day. You get a little IndyCar on Sunday night. I guess Game 4 tonight, Game 5 on Monday. But vivid memories as a child waiting for my dad to get home from Ben Davis with the glove ready to go in the backyard. So a very, very happy Father's Day to all dads out there.
I'll say this real quick. So Sunday is Father's Day. Shout out to Jesse Boyd, my father, but it's also my mom's birthday. So shout out to Lorna Boyd, who will win that day.
Yeah. My dad has
he didn't get any choices made. We didn't even ask him. Like, it is what it is. Sorry, brother. It happens.
My father passed away several years ago, but we were very close. He was the best man at my wedding.
Love that.
So I'll be thinking of him throughout the day. And Mark, I know you're going to have a good time. You'll probably have a battle royale with your girls in the living room. I mean, that's kind of how it goes, isn't it?
Yeah, that's my Father's Day usually.
He'll be lying watching the U.S. Open on the couch, and all of a sudden, from the top rope, here comes the
dive
oldest.
bomb. Yep, probably. I'll pass him off to my dad.
Yelling JJ Spawn from the top rope.
This one behind me used to just jump on my back and make me carry him around.
Hey, well, I was about to say, Grant, you got nothing but space and opportunity, brother.
He's
nothing but
distracted
space and
right now. You
opportunity.
can take him down easily.
Right, that's how it goes. All right, so we'll get ready for a Father's Day weekend. We've got U.S. Open. We've got, I'll tell you all about another scintillating Stanley Cup game last night.
Yes, I did watch the hockey.
We'll talk
The
about
hockey
that
was
in a
very
second.
good.
Yeah, we got a lot to do today, and it's game day. Game 4, NBA Finals tonight. Pacers, Thunder. You'll hear it live right here on The Fan. More details coming up next.
and 107.5 The Fan.
Good morning, everyone. Welcome into the Fan Morning Show. Kevin Bowen, James Boyd. I'm Jeff Rickard, and Mark Dykton on the ones and twos today, getting ready for a Father's Day weekend, as KB rightly pointed out a moment ago. But tonight, all eyes will be on Gainbridge Fieldhouse for Game 4 of the NBA Finals. The Indiana Pacers take on the Oklahoma City Thunder. KB, I believe the Pacers have a 2-1 game advantage going into this contest tonight.
Indeed, still a significant underdog, 6-point underdog for tonight. Again, Miles Turner not on the injury report, so good news on that side of it. Rick Carlisle said yesterday he came in for the film session. Miles did go home after that, but all signs point to number 33 being good to go, at least start, and we'll see how many minutes he plays coming up tonight.
JB, it feels like a great opportunity for the Indiana Pacers here to really seize control of this series, protect home court, and you still got that win on the road in your back pocket.
Absolutely. I mean, you take care of business at home, the rest of the series, you're an NBA champion for the first time in franchise history. So certainly going to be a tough game, I think, tonight because of the adjustments that OKC would inevitably make. But certainly, like you said, a really good opportunity.
We will have coverage for you beginning with JMV live at 3 o'clock from Pivot Bar and Balcony. He's going to stay until 8. I talked to him yesterday. He said, I've rallied. I feel great. He's going to stay until 8 o'clock because you and I, JB, were on standby just in case.
Yeah, I believe I'm pulling up at 5. I'll have to double check what time I agreed to. But, yes, I will be there to talk more ball with JMV.
All right, we're looking forward to that. And, of course, we'll have the pregame on the network at 8 o'clock. Tip just after 8:30. Was it been about 8:37 when they've been throwing it up in the air, KB?
I believe so, yes.
All right. Also, some Stanley Cup playoffs last night. Now, you've been a convert to the NHL Stanley Cup this week, this year.
That was
as a matter of fact,
electric
JB.
last night.
Edmonton rallied from 3 to, they were down 3-0 at the end of 1. They tied it up, took the lead, gave the lead up with 19 seconds to go in regulation, and then Leon Draisaitl scores the game winner, his 4th overtime goal in the playoffs in his career, 2nd in this series. He's the Tyrese Halliburton of the National Hockey League.
All I know is the hockey was very good. I was thinking to myself, this is way too intense. And for those who are actually real fans, like if you're Edmonton, are you alive after today? Like, I mean, the things that my heart and head would have done just to stress. Oh, but it was fun, though. It really was very good. And it looked like the environment was great.
Yeah.
Is home ice just not a thing in the NHL? Do you think more than any other professional sport?
I think the biggest problem, yes. I think, and a lot of that has to do with the fact that the fluidity and the suddenness of the game, you could have a great home ice advantage going, but if it's a close game and you break down defensively for 1 second, turns into a 2-on-1 and a goal the other direction.
Leon brought them back from the dead, and obviously they won it, so
yeah.
that was awesome.
5-4 final in overtime. That series tied at 2 games apiece. Fever will play again tomorrow at home against the New York Liberty. Still no word on Caitlin Clark?
No word. I know she was back at practice yesterday, doing, not that she hasn't practiced, but doing more in practice. But, again, it doesn't sound like, at least in my opinion, anything is set in stone just yet for her.
All right. Let's check in on the U.S. Open at Oakmont. J.J. Spahn was terrific yesterday, KB. A 4-under 66 to take the lead. And Brooks Koepka had a nice round. He'd been kind of absent for, I don't know, the last year and a half from all these majors. At one point in time, though, he was just ripping the majors up. He's back in contention now, just 2 shots back at 2 under par.
Yeah, I think Brooks rips a lot of things up, honestly, in this life of his, if you can kind of follow my drift on that. J.J. Spahn, boys, what college for J.J. Spahn? Should we play that game at 7:22 in the morning?
I read this yesterday. Now I can't remember.
And here's my hint.
Yeah.
Current NBA player that is unquestionably a Hall of Famer went here.
Wow. I want to say it's like from little school in Nebraska somewhere or Iowa, something like that. I forget exactly
Wake
what it was.
Forest.
I read it. What was
Wake Forest from James Boyd. You did I hear you say Nebraska, Jeff?
Nebraska, Iowa, somewhere in that region. I forget. I read it like a couple of days ago, and now I can't remember.
I'll say South Dakota State.
You're close.
Mark
It was South
Dykton.
Dakota, right?
San Diego State.
Ooh.
I'm trying to think
Oh.
of
Who am I
Mark,
thinking
who's
of?
the NBA Hall of Famer from South Dakota State?
I don't know. Somebody said
I
Midwest.
thought it was from
and I
like
got-
the Midwest.
Yeah, I
No,
thought you
San
said
Diego
Midwest.
State.
I went up
One
with
to
Jeff
Adam
and I did
Vinatieri,
Midwest.
Kawhi Leonard,
I was
and
about to
J.J.
say.
Here we
Spahn
go.
overlapping.
I was thinking, I
San
chose Wake
Diego
Forest because
State.
of Chris
Gosh.
Paul.
Sure.
I was like, okay.
Yeah, I
Who was
got
I
that.
thinking of? Somebody else.
All I know
But yeah,
is-
Brooks Koepka up there. He has not been up there in a whole lot of recent majors. Shout out to Adam Schenk, the Purdue product from Vincennes, tied for 20th, and the dentist, Matt Vogt, a little bit further back, 82 for Matt Vogt. I believe 86 was our high yesterday. So, Jeff, that's who you would be competing with, and I would be happy to break 90. So 86 was our high from Oakmont yesterday. We would see if Jeff Rickard would compete.
No shot.
Oh, you already walking it back? Man, you got to have the conviction, brother.
I said, if you listen back to the thing Mark produced yesterday, I said no shot as we were talking about it.
That's after we had to kind of break it down.
Dallas Goedert, by the way, South Dakota State alum,
right.
So he could maybe be a Hall of Famer at some point, maybe.
He needs
no.
He's going to
yes.
He's going to need
I
stay with
think I
that.
said NBA
I'm
Hall
going
of Famer.
with that.
That
At
is,
least at NFL.
I don't care what world we're in.
He's in the Mark Dykton Hall of Fame.
If
There
Dallas
you go.
Goddard's getting in the Hall of Fame, then
The Hall of Very Good. How about that?
My son's back
Is he
there
in
going,
there?
are you guys always this nice to each other?
I'm just trying to be, Dallas Goedert, I love you, brother, but
I'm watching right now. Brooks Koepka just threw in a Zen here in the middle of the first fairway. So he is at 2 under par. Only 10 guys broke par in round 1.
I believe Tiger refers to him as Brooksy, doesn't he?
Yeah, that sounds right.
Thornton is in that early. That means it's going well, right? It's a good round.
First drive in the rough, so,
All right, let's check in on what happened with the Indianapolis Colts this past week as they wrap up minicamp and OTAs. James Boyd, anything of significance to report from yesterday?
not really. I did put out a piece this morning kind of recapping veteran minicamp. I thought that Daniel Jones, to Kevin's point earlier, not a lot of flashy passes, but certainly consistent. He had a really good throw the other day in 2-minute drill to Michael Pittman Jr., and he told us yesterday, Pitt's always going to tell you when he's open, and he'll let you know in a variety of ways. So that got a little smile out of him. And then I think some of the standouts for me personally, Kevin, probably Tyler Warren, A.D. Mitchell looked good. Got to do it in games. I will always preface it by saying that. But those two stood out, and Justin Wally as well, the rookie cornerback out of Minnesota.
Yeah, and I didn't think it looked too big for Tyler Warren at all. I thought, he was a very smooth operator out there. So, again, nothing for 5.5 weeks now for the Colts. We'll await a training camp schedule, but July 22nd will be report day at Grand Park. It is an earlier start to training camp this year.
Yep. All right, other NFL news, very disturbing. Antonio Brown sought for arrest on attempted murder charges by Miami-Dade police. Apparently, Brown was detained by police last month following an incident that took place after a celebrity boxing event in Miami. Now, according to a warrant obtained by the Washington Post, authorities in Miami-Dade County are seeking to arrest the Super Bowl winning wide receiver on a charge of attempted murder with a firearm.
This is all, I believe, per ESPN?
Yeah.
Yeah, just trying to make sure we're not reporting this. But, yeah, it was I read it this morning in the Washington Post as well, and just it's another thing for Antonio Brown, who has been in the middle of a lot of things.
Yeah, it's a Washington Post report.
Yeah.
So, yeah. All right, so that's what's happening there. Major League Baseball yesterday. It was I'm going to lead with this for Alex Golden today, especially. Brewers shut out the Cardinals by a score of 6-0. Sorry about that, Alex. I love Alex. Also yesterday, the Rockies won again. I figure we just have to shout that out for the 8 times it's going to happen the rest of the year, right?
I mean, if you must.
They are horrific.
It's train wreck TV, that's for sure. Also yesterday, the Indians won a doubleheader against the St. Paul Saints over at Victory Field, 6-2 in the first, 5-0 in the nightcap. The Cubs and Reds had the day off.
Cubs played. They beat the Pirates.
I don't see that.
They beat the Pirates 3-2.
Are we gonna report on the Cubs now with Mark today?
Justin Turner did a questionable celebration that the marquee camera zoomed in on, and I think they probably regret that.
You left out
was that real or fake?
I think it was real.
Oh,
really?
I thought it was fake too.
Uh-uh.
Pete Crow Armstrong, you left out. He had a 2-run home run.
Well, you didn't even know they played.
No, that's right here in front of me. Just giving you grief. I got him worked up already. It's not even 7:30.
I know. There's going to be some furniture moving up in here.
He's going to initiate the battle royale when he gets home. Those girls are in trouble, man. How was birthday yesterday for the birthday girl, by the way?
It was electric. Puccini's lived up to the unbelievable hype that it is. Great time. The fettuccine Alfredo, just exquisite. 10 out of 10.
I assumed you were going to wear sweatpants today.
Well, Mark.
He is wearing sweatpants and a large loose-fitting Notre Dame shirt.
It's unbelievable how much it just sits in your. I'm like, I don't even need lunch today. It's still just sitting there.
It turns into concrete.
I can just feel it sitting there, which isn't probably good for the Speedo descending upon the Bowen household here in a handful of days.
We'll tell you more about the Speedo, the progress that the Pacers are making. I think if nothing else, what's better than hoisting the trophy at the very end, James, than to see Kevin Bowen celebrate by taking a victory lap on the circle in a Speedo.
Lord have mercy. We do have someone in the YouTube chat saying, do you wash the jersey or do you just keep it?
No.
They're like, you're going to take the tags off to wash the jersey. No, I don't know if you're superstitious like that.
No, the reason the tag is stayed on, it's tucked in under the shoulder here, is it was on the first time I used it. You don't mess.
Wait,
you don't mess with stuff.
Your explanation is that they gave you a brand new jersey and then there was a tag on it? Yes, that happens a lot.
No, but when I first put it on, it still had the tag on it, so you don't mess with that.
All
now
right.
moving
Hey,
forward.
look, it has worked to perfection so far in these playoffs. So knock on some wood and hopefully it's perfection tonight.
I keep it in my office upstairs and break it out for, as they used to say, for just such an occasion.
All right. Well, we got Grant back here already lurking to take it off your back, and so
what did he say? If the Pacers win, I'm claiming that jersey. Is that what he said a minute ago?
Yeah. It wasn't an ask. It was it was a command. You gonna take that off your back, brother.
That's why I say enjoy them while they're really little now, KB and Mark.
Yep.
I'm not even gone yet. They're claiming my stuff. How's that work?
Hey, closed mouths don't get fed.
All right, coming up in a moment, we'll get you ready to go for Game 4 of the NBA Finals tonight. That comes your way next, right here, 93.5 and 107.5 The Fan.
You're listening to the Fan Morning Show on Sports Radio 93.5 and 107.5 The Fan.
Opportunity awaits tonight. Game 4 of the NBA Finals. A chance for the Pacers to go up 3-1 against the Oklahoma City Thunder. Kevin Bowen, you were at the game the other night. That fourth quarter, I was talking to somebody else on a different radio station yesterday, and they were trying to figure out what's so special about this Indiana team, because a lot of people just haven't watched them very much until the Eastern Conference Finals now. And I said, I think the best way you can describe them a lot of times, they're like a boa constrictor. Like, once they get a hold of you in that second half and they've run you ragged, they just kind of slowly suffocate the life out of you in these fourth quarters and down the stretch. And you could see SGA with his hands on his shorts the other day in the fourth quarter. And we saw it certainly in the last couple of games with the New York Knicks. I know they won the game 5, but you could just see teams, the Pacers are really good at just taking the life away from them in the last 6-8 minutes of a game, KB. How would you describe them?
I think we'll forget the fourth quarter of Game 3 rather quickly as this series continues to move on. And that's naturally kind of what we do with playoff series. We forget about games, of course, but we shouldn't forget about what happened the other night. You're down 5 starting the fourth quarter, and I would say the Thunder, they threw a haymaker at you to end the third quarter. Jalen Williams hitting that 3 at the top of the key, a guy that kind of needs to get going for them. I thought that was a huge, huge punch, and I was very curious how the Pacers would handle it. And when McConnell and Mathurin set the tone to start the fourth quarter for you, it allowed you to keep Halliburton on the bench. You didn't have to go, sometimes in these fourth quarters, you see insert team here is down. They have to bring the star back in earlier than they would like. They didn't have to do that. They could keep Halliburton on his minute, usual sort of cadence there, and I thought that was huge. So, again, let's play this out. The Pacers win, whatever. They win tonight, they lose on Monday, then they win Game 6. It's a parade. Hallelujah. We're celebrating, et cetera, et cetera. Like, don't forget about that fourth quarter in Game 3. I mean, again, the Thunder are up 5 on your home floor. They're feeling great walking into the fourth quarter, and boom, McConnell, Mathurin, and then the defense. I mean, 1 field goal for OKC in the final 5.5 minutes. 1 field goal from them in the final 5.5 minutes. I know I'm beating this drum way, way too much, but I think it's so, so true. You get them in the clutch, you thrive, and they survive, and so far they haven't survived in either of the clutch games.
I finally saw somebody on NBA radio on Sirius yesterday talking about the fact that he has watched the Pacers all year long, and to Kevin's point there too, they just seem to play better when they are completely up against it in the fourth quarter, when they're down 5, 7, 9, 15 points. Like, they just seem to pull it together when they're in that situation. Is that sustainable, though?
It has been for them throughout these playoffs, throughout this season. I mean, when the game is tight, you should expect the Pacers to perform. And the way I described them, Jeff, in my story the other day involving Obi Toppin and others, in a league so often focused on singular stars, the Pacers believe they are a constellation. The only way for them to truly appreciate it and ultimately the crown is for everyone to shine together. There you go. Some
Hand
nice
them all the writing awards right now.
There you
Mark,
go.
do you
I thought that was a bar, though. I'm
an
not gonna lie.
homage to Wilt Chamberlain, the Big Dipper. The
No,
Indiana
but in all
Pacers.
seriousness, they do not. We talked about this yesterday. They are all flawed as players, but together they are pretty freaking amazing. So that's the part that always kind of shakes me up a bit, because every single one of them has something that kind of holds them back, but they just pick the other one up because somebody else does their deficiency better than them.
They balance each other out.
Yes, very much so.
Mark, do you like this analogy from Matt Taylor, voice of the Colts, yesterday?
I do love Matt Taylor.
Maytay.
He has some wonderful, wonderful analogies. You watched the movie Rudy for the first time when?
Before the national championship game.
Was that when I Venmo'd you $3.99?
You paid for him to watch the movie?
Was it
I
good or
did.
bad, your opinion?
He hated it, I
good.
believe. You thought it was a horrific movie, is what
No.
you told me.
I liked it. I liked it more than I liked Hoosiers.
Now, one of the
Dang.
Oh, my goodness.
one of the early Vince
comes the
Vaughn
chat.
debuts in Rudy,
Yes.
of course.
Uh-huh.
I would like to think our audience has probably seen it. Matt Taylor yesterday, in describing T.J. McConnell, goes, he is the guy in Rudy that Vince Vaughn would be yelling at during practice. Stop trying so hard. Stop going 130% out there. That's who Vince Vaughn would be yelling at.
That's a good analogy.
I thought that was a wonderful analogy for our big-time Rudy fans out there. I'll never forget, a couple Thanksgivings ago, the Pacers asked some of us to come over and help, I guess, serve a Thanksgiving dinner. Picture kind of.
I was going to say help with coaching, and I was about to say, oh Lord, it was bleak. Years ago it was bleak.
Certainly not. Buffet style to members of the homeless, and at my station, I was flanked on each side by Jalen Smith and T.J. McConnell. And so you have, obviously very gracious people in the community coming up and getting their plate and, talking with you, of course, and we're serving the food on the plate. And, Jalen Smith, picture Jalen Smith, 6'10", Rex Specs when he plays, glasses when he doesn't play. So I would, call him a very
called him Sticks.
recognizable human. And so, of course, many people recognized him, asked him how the season was going, et cetera, et cetera. And TJ McConnell to every single person in line. Hey, how you doing? I'm TJ from marketing.
Did he give him an individual greeting?
Not one individual recognized TJ McConnell. Hey,
that is the perfect level of success I want in my life.
Right? Live your life every day.
Yes.
And then he threw a nice changeup about halfway through. Hey, yep, I'm just a full season intern. So I'll be here. Yeah, I just graduated from Arizona. I'll be here until the spring. It was beautiful to watch, and frankly, I think that's how the Thunder treated him the other night. They forgot about him out there in no bigger play, 95-93, when Caruso, boom, all of a sudden there's T.J. McConnell, steal, layup. And I thought that was the final gasoline on the fire. That was like the one that all of a sudden created the fourth quarter that we then saw play out the rest of the way. Halliburton came right back in at that moment, step back three, Dagnall timeout, and the Thunders have one field goal in the final 5 minutes.
And I think it's doubly important when he does that kind of stuff in the fourth quarter, because as teams do start to wear down and do start to get tired, he keeps that pressure on, and if you let your guard down and make a mental mistake like Caruso did on the inbounds pass for 1 second, you've just given Indiana a free bucket in crunch time.
Look, I know we have sang T.J. McConnell's praises, but Alex Caruso, that is one of the worst basketball players I've seen in my life, considering the stakes. He threw the ball straight to the man. What are you doing? So, again, I don't know if you're just living right, if you're the Pacers, to have these breaks go your way, but they certainly pounce on every single mistake you make, and they make you feel it.
C-Rod here on Twitter. I don't know if anyone has mentioned this, but isn't tonight the biggest game to date in Pacers NBA franchise history?
Isn't that every game for the rest of the series?
I think we've had now 3 in a row. Game 6 against the Knicks was the biggest game, one of the biggest games, certainly Wednesday night. And then if for some reason you win tonight and lose on Monday, Game 6 will be obviously
Should I do the classic? Is
it poll again?
Right.
Is this a must-win? They're in the finals. Every game's a must-win, right?
Well, I will say this, and I think I would probably disagree with you guys. I know I asked this to you yesterday. I don't think the winner of Game 4 is a slam dunk to win the series. I think if the Pacers win Game 4, yes, they win the series. I don't look at it and think if the Thunder win tonight, the Pacers are done.
No, I can't think that.
No, because they've done so well on the road all year.
Exactly.
Well, then I'm wrong, because I thought both of you said the winner of Game 4 yesterday wins the series.
I do believe, personally, that's true. But to your point, I give the Pacers, even if they lose tonight, I give them a better chance than most other teams of winning on the road this year.
I thought his phrasing of the question yesterday was terrible, so that's why I was confused.
I'm going a step further. I don't think if the Thunder win tonight, the Pacers are done.
You're just more self-assured because you're the guy willing to go run outside in a Speedo for a victory lap. So I give you credit.
There will be a lot of loose items coming up if and when that happens. Running is probably the loosest of all terms.
So what is this, a power walk?
Power walk might be worse looking,
let's get him like some 2-pound weights, and he can power walk.
Yeah, I just call it nice jog, Lap 1, I don't know. Jake Query at the mini marathon. That's what I'll be doing.
We're still only getting 1 lap out of you. Pacers win their first NBA championship. You're only getting 1 lap out of Kevin Bowen.
Maybe that's all people want.
I think you gotta.
I say you ask social media because they tell us everything they think.
I thought you were going to ask a social worker.
I gotta come back in studio. I mean, I got a job to do.
I feel like they win the NBA championship. Whatever the point differential is that they win that final game by, that's how many laps.
I'm gonna be out there filming like a proud parent.
I mean, what are you?
What?
I can hear right now. I can see Rick just cringing at the thought of even talking about all these future things. Like, don't talk about it. We got to take care of business in Game 4. Let's just get that one, and then we move on to whatever's next.
Yeah,
that's why we don't coach the Pacers.
Yeah.
What question do you think you would cringe at most? Do you ask him about the Plot Rickens shirt, or telling him that you've purchased a Speedo in case they win a championship?
Definitely the latter.
Yeah.
I mean, he wants no part of it. I don't know if you guys caught a session.
I don't blame you.
Yesterday, he is in full. I mean, he's cutting people off.
Yeah.
If they're trying to ask any sort of future question. One of the questions yesterday was, you've done a really nice job with these 2-1 leads in this series. What do you think it is? The guy asking it didn't even get a chance to explain himself on the back end of the question. So I've kind of played this out in my head, James. Can you imagine Pacers split? Let's say win tonight, lose Monday, then we talk to Rick on Tuesday morning, theoretically. We'll see what the travel schedule looks like. They'll be at OKC Monday. If they are a game away from winning the NBA championship and he's popping on these airwaves, I mean, it will be Dikembe Mutombo wagging of the finger constantly. Which, to be fair to him, a coach on the brink of winning an NBA championship, that is one of the more let's please live in the moment
possession to possession
that you have ever had in your coaching career. Which, of course, Rick has
well,
been there before.
You know what, Pacers? If you would like us to have a better interview, just win. Win these next 2 games. Make it easy for us.
By the time, it's possible. The next time we talk to him, the Pacers are NBA champions.
Man, let's go. I'm ready for it. I'm here for it. It's the Fan Morning Show with Kevin Bowen, James Boyd. I'm Jeff Rickard, Mark Dyken on the other side of the glass. Dykton on the other side of the glass there.
You're getting volunteers for if they want to join you on the circle, by the way.
Oh, we could have a whole parade. You could lead a whole pack.
I said, we don't need to just have listeners join. I want listeners to be rooting you on, cheering. I want a big spectacle. I want video. I want all this documentation.
I do have a nice camera at home. I can video
You're the guy.
this. And
Mark's hiring IMPD to put up ropes around the circle. There.
We need to get Getty
He's
out
gonna
here
have
so he can
the
take some
rocky
pictures,
jog up
nice
the steps.
high-quality
And
pictures.
Can you imagine the
Getty
social
images.
media fires? That would go viral, would it not?
I mean, you might be on Good Morning America. My mother might call me and say, "Hey, is that the Kevin Bowen you always talk about?" Yes, that is him.
Mark, do you get
in all his glory?
Do you think we get one of those things where it says, "Do you want to view this sensitive content?"
Yeah, maybe.
And
then we need to have he gets done with his one lap, get a Pacers flag to wrap around him, one of those aluminum foil towels.
It's like Cole Hocker rocking the USA flag after he won.
We hand out cups of water so he can drink it as he does his one lap.
I know a guy that's got a Tyrese Halliburton towel.
Well, sure. Yes.
Let's have John Halliburton out there.
By the way, was that John Halliburton back in the normal seats?
Yeah,
he was down lower bowl.
Yeah, he said my son in the finals. Y'all better,
And was I seeing things when he got into Chet's face, or was that my imagination?
Oh, Lord.
I did not see that. That might have been just you.
By the way, how bad was Chet in the fourth quarter?
He just disappeared.
I thought he was great the first few quarters.
He was.
You want to talk about a 180 of a matchup, and I know they don't necessarily guard each other every possession, but Chet versus Miles, if you want to play out that game, the first 3 quarters versus the fourth quarter, that was a total 180.
The other thing, too, when they put the big guys in, the 2 big guys, I think Obi Toppin gives them all kinds of matchup problems for a few minutes at a time.
Obi Toppin puts them on that treadmill and makes them run until they pass out, basically.
I'm here for it. I saw a nice little social media video, too, of James Johnson just kind of playing. Apparently, he's the last guy every time they leave the floor or come onto the floor, and he says, it's my job to watch out for everybody.
Yeah, I believe, if James Johnson says, I want to be last, you just say, okay.
Yeah.
Because we know he was also voted in The Athletic. See, my other employer gets so much grief for voting Tyrese Halliburton on the players.
Those are players that
voting for him as the most overrated player. The players also voted James Johnson as the player they'd least like to fight.
Well, because they're
so
smart.
there is some mutual respect there, in some aspects. He was asked about that at one of the media days, and he was saying, I think it's overblown. Well, I'm like, is it though?
Because in his mind, he's not ready to break out a fight with anybody.
He's got a black belt and he's 6'9".
Right,
so.
Which means he's incredibly comfortable in his own skin. He's not worried about anybody.
He's comfortable walking through alleys by himself, too.
You want to take a Speedo question?
Oh, let's take
Is this the homemade Speedo?
Yes, 239-1070, the number to call. Let's check it out on the Payless Liquors hotline.
Brandon has a Speedo question.
Good morning, Brandon. We are here for all of your garment questions.
Hey, guys. How we doing this morning?
We're fantastic. Ready for Game 4 tonight. What do you think?
Good morning, Brandon.
Absolutely. Good morning. Hey, KB, I can see this playing out a whole lot like that coast-to-coast running scene in Forrest Gump.
Oh, see?
You just get it started. They're going to fall in line behind you, brother. You could end up at the Speedway. who knows where this could go.
Boy, that is a great. We're out to Newcastle. Next thing you know,
See?
we're down in Knightstown. We are everywhere. I mean, in 49 states, it's just okay. Brandon, I've now found my dream for tonight.
Yeah,
Kevin just
going to
stops.
Speedway.
Kevin just stops walking as a Puccini's approaches. I think I'll go home now.
Well, I mean, you got to
that'll happen
a
a block
bit,
and a half
right?
into it. Don't you think, James?
I think Brandon had a great idea.
By the way,
like it too.
Mark's spot on with his
I just felt like running.
accent there. That was outstanding from Mark. Thank you, Brandon, for that.
That's great stuff. Speaking of like running and stuff, did you see this guy last week? He's been telling his wife he could run a marathon, no problem. He didn't even need to train for it. And she got tired of hearing it, so she signed him up for the San Diego Marathon. Flew him out there and said, "Here you go, pal. Get it done."
Maybe it's like playing the Pacers with, no rest. So
But-
we'll see how OKC looks tonight.
He walked a lot of it. He got it done in like 6 hours, and he's like, "Good, now I don't have to talk about it anymore." Would Maddie do something like that to
So
you?
this would be like us signing you up
she knows
for.
if I ran a marathon that she would probably be raising kids singly for a while.
So would this be like us signing you up for the U.S. Open
Yes.
to shoot 90?
What would be the equivalent of going 6 hours in a marathon? 120?
I mean, you guys are with me in the average human being in a sporting event, right? Like, I need, Mark Dykton next to Michael Phelps, and I
Yes.
need, Kevin Bowen next to Usain Bolt, and I
Yes.
need
Why?
just to see how truly dominant they are.
One of my favorite
That'd be
stories.
like putting me out there with Serena Williams on a tennis court. I would die.
I don't think you'd be able to return a serve, would you?
I just said I would die. I just can't return it. A lot of things when you're, 6 feet under.
Yesterday, the debate at Colts practice was harder to field a punt or hit a 95-mile-per-hour fastball. I said 95.
Oh,
yeah.
baseball every time.
I think that's, yeah.
But, James, you watched some Colts coaches try to field punts yesterday.
I won't name
Oh,
any
boy.
names, but they were looking like me out there.
Here's the other thing that people,
I would have said I lost in the sun.
like I said, I'll always remember when all the Colts were playing at the Paul George celebrity softball game.
Oh, Paul George.
The day that he said he was going to be a Pacer forever and then left the next day. But I don't know what it is. Most football players, especially the linemen, they can't throw correctly. It just doesn't look right when they're throwing a ball from like shortstop to first base.
They're usually throwing people, so
Yeah,
that
true.
makes a lot of sense.
They're very gifted at what they do. There's no question about that. All right, coming up in a few minutes, Greg Rakestraw is going to stop by, give us his thoughts. Another Indiana native who's all about Indiana basketball and what this game tonight, Game 4 at the Fieldhouse, means to the city, the state, the region, and how it's going to go. We'll do all that next as we continue the Fan Morning Show. 90. What's I forgot. Yeah. No,
93.5, 107.5 The Fan?
Nah, it's 93.5 and 107.5 The Fan. Thank you. I can't even get it out, and Mark is right there on the buzzer. Like, he's just waiting to trip me up. That's how that works.
We do this, once a week probably.
We'll do it next. 93.5, 107.5 The Fan.
You're listening to the Fan Morning Show on 93.5 and 107.5 The Fan.
Mark, you didn't realize this is one of my 3 or 4 favorite all-time songs right here.
Well, it's playing because despite it being Father's Day weekend, it's also Friday the 13th. So Superstition, Friday the 13th.
I like it.
There you go.
Bad luck for the Oklahoma City Thunder is what we're hoping tonight, right? That's how that works. It is Father's Day weekend, and I got my son in here with me today. He decided to come to work with me today. And James Boyd, I don't know that I can trust you to be a good influence on him.
I'm giving him great advice. I just told him he said he's learning how to drive. I said 2 rules. Remember where the brake is? Don't hit anything that's not moving.
That's not what you said.
So you'll be joyriding very soon. You can't have joy while you're driving? I wake up every morning. I drive here with joy, playing good music at 6:50, whatever.
There it is. Anyway, we are off and running on a game day here on the Fan Morning Show. Kevin Bowen, James Boyd, Mark Dykton. And we, I think we're all optimistic about how things will go tonight. I believe, Kevin, that the quick turnaround probably falls in favor of the Pacers, not only being at home, but the way that they play, the exhaustion we saw from several members of the Oklahoma City Thunder the other night. I feel like, once again, the team's getting disrespected at -6 on almost every betting form that you find. And I also feel like if they won this game 4 and went back to Oklahoma City, I bet it goes back to being an 8 or 9 point spread again.
Well, let's welcome in someone to talk about that. The great Greg Rakestraw is with us here on the Payless Liquors hotline. Rake, happy Father's Day to you. How are you?
And the same to, 3 of the 4 people in the room currently. JB, you'll get there at some point in time. I am wonderful, thank you.
I'm a godfather. Does that count?
Sure.
No, it doesn't.
Counts for now.
Rake, the question I threw to the guys 10, 15 minutes ago, winner tonight win the series?
I think so. I felt the Pacers had to win Game 3 to stay in the series, and they did. I'm not sure the same thing applies to the Pacers in terms of having to win this game, but it certainly makes life a whole lot easier. You feel like you hit the reset button on the series if the Pacers lose tonight. I think if the Pacers win it, they win. I think if the Thunder wins, life looks a lot better for them. So I think this is the pivotal moment of the series for sure.
Well, first time in 25 years the Pacers have been in the NBA Finals. I know you were around when they played the Lakers back in 2000. Does it feel different to you this time? Can you remember that? Can you put it into context, or are you just living in the moment like Rick Carlisle?
No, of course, absolutely, it feels different. The team lost the first 2 games in L.A., won Game 3, and then Kobe goes off after Shaq fouls out in Game 4. And that was kind of the first finals moment of Kobe, came against the Pacers. The Pacers were competitive, but you knew there was no answer for Shaquille O'Neal down low. There just wasn't. This feels very different. And so, again, I'm not even sure if I go as far as saying the Pacers are favored. Clearly, from the Vegas standpoint, they're not. But the Pacers are at least on level footing, if not ahead in this series, and you never felt that way 25 years ago.
Rake, I'll go here. What have you made of the Benedict Mathurin experience in the playoffs, and particularly the moment he had in the last game in the finals?
This is exactly, and not that he's going to score 27 every night, but this is exactly what you had hoped for kind of coming into the season. I remember, and I forget who I was filling in for, and having this conversation very early in the year, and basically saying, you want Benedict Mathurin to be a candidate for 6th man of the year. That because of Halliburton and Siakam, there's only so many basketballs to go around. You want Mathurin to be able to come in off the bench and hand in the ball and say, go get points, go be aggressive. And basically knowing that his minutes are going to vary based on how effective he is in terms of scoring the basketball. So what he did on Wednesday night, to me, is exactly the role he has carved out for this basketball team. So, let's be honest. There's been thoughts about maybe you move Mathurin in the offseason just to create more room to re-sign Miles Turner. And I'm doing my best to try to let's not worry about the future. Let's enjoy the fact that the Pacers have a lead in the NBA Finals, for the 2nd time in franchise history, and the other one was from last Thursday night till Sunday evening. Let's kind of stay in the moment here. But with the way Matherin played on Wednesday, now you're kind of like, all right, now it's simply going to the luxury tax, and you're keeping him because you want to keep this band absolutely together as long as you possibly can.
Well, Rick, since we're talking about so much Indiana basketball history, we have to share some news. Or would you like to share with us what your role is over at the Indiana Basketball Hall of Fame?
Oh, well, thank you. I have been involved in the Indiana Basketball Hall of Fame as an associate director for the last few years, serving on some committees and helping, select the field for the Hall of Fame Classic from the boys' side. Some other kind of duties like working with the Silver Anniversary team in terms of the men's for that. But I am now on the Hall of Fame Board of Directors as of last night. So
congrats, brother.
Good job.
The pay is the same, still zero, but very happy to be a part of it.
Perfect.
What does that entail,
Ray? Yeah.
So it means I've got about 5 board meetings I need to be at every year. It does mean that I will be a voting member in terms of when we select Hall of Famers, and that meeting takes place later. There's a public meeting for that on Thursday, September the 11th, and those tend to be long meetings because those are open to the public and people have the chance to speak on why they think a certain player should be a Hall of Famer. There is a financial donation component that comes along with that, and I'm happy to do that for the Hall of Fame as well. But basically, it's just a way, and I put this on Facebook last night, and I'm thinking you guys all feel the same way, knowing the way that I do. There are times when it hits me, I'm like, the world of sports in this state has been so remarkably good to me, and more so than I deserve. If this is my little way of giving back, then I am very happy to do so.
It's very well said, and a great honor for you. Let's shift gears to the high school scene. I don't know. I feel like the spring calendar's a little bit later this year.
It is.
Softball state finals tonight up in West Lafayette, tomorrow as well. Baseball coming up next weekend. Anything catching your eyes with softball and baseball in particular here from a spring sports standpoint?
Yeah, rain. I'm slated to be on the call. So if you wonder what goes on, it's like you're starting to flip the channel. What's on opposite the Super Bowl? What's on opposite game for the finals? I am one of those answers tonight because I am slated to have the call of the 1A and 4A championships on the IHSAA Champions Network. Clay City and North Newton in game number 1. Crown Point and Center Grove in game number 2. Forecast at Bittinger Stadium does not look great. Frankly, the forecast doesn't look good either the next 2 days. And I've got Indy 11 tomorrow night, so no bueno on that front. Yes, Kevin, you are right. The spring calendar is backed up a week this year. The entire calendar is backed up a week this year. Normally it is the baseball state finals are on Father's Day weekend. This time it is the softball state finals. So softball this weekend, baseball next weekend. Individual girls tennis, as in singles and doubles championships, are this weekend. And then something Kevin knows a little something about, the boys golf championships, Tuesday and Wednesday. And that wraps up the IHSA academic year.
Let's go. On my time hop today, Rake, you were interviewing one Ryan Bowen at Prairie View 7 years ago. I meant to send you said picture.
Nice. Very nice. But that was one of the first things that we did with ISC was go, hey, let's try this. Let's see if anybody's gonna watch. We did coverage of the 18th. It was 4 cameras on one hole, and we got every golfer coming through. And I believe I was joined by, I can't remember if it was both Brian Hammonds and Will Haskett that were on that. I think that was the case. But I was the roving course reporter, and trust me, with 6.5 hours of coverage, we had time to fill. That was not a problem. So we had a good time with that broadcast.
And I watched all 6 hours of it.
You're the guy.
The fact that was a Wednesday afternoon state championship, we had a lot of office viewing. So without much in the way of fanfare, I think we had 4,500 viewers for that telecast, which told me,
that's good.
Hey, maybe we're on to something here.
Yeah. It's Greg Rakestraw on the Payless Liquors hotline this morning. Getting ready for a big weekend of sports, as always, here in Indianapolis and in Indiana. And we're talking about some of the high school state tournaments coming up. But back to the NBA Finals real quick. we saw Reggie Miller sitting with Oscar Robertson courtside the other day, and we've seen some of the great players from the past come back for the Pacers. I know Rick Schmitz was over there, and it got me thinking, as Halliburton is leading this team to wherever it is that they end up, where is he in the pantheon of all-time Pacers greats already?
Already, he is working his way up the charts. There is what Reggie meant to the community and the longevity and the fact that Reggie stayed. I'm not sure if anyone would surpass Reggie. Now, Tyrese wins an NBA championship or multiples of them. Now we're having the conversation. I think for Tyrese, it is, can you play to a level where they're going to put your number in the rafters and put it up there next to potentially the first, NBA world champion banner that is missing from up there at Gamebridge Fieldhouse. So logic would tell me he's playing for second, but then again, if you're playing for first and do that enough times, maybe he is playing for first in terms of the Pacers depth chart of greatness. He's climbing it. It would take an Everest-like scale to get to Reggie Miller.
Sounds good. Greg, always good to talk to you. Have fun this weekend, and we will talk to you very soon.
All right, see you guys. Have a great weekend.
See you,
All
Greg.
right, there you go. The great Greg Rakestraw joining us as he does every week here on 93.5 and 107.5 The Fan. And I can't imagine there's anybody more qualified to be on that board for the Basketball Hall of Fame in the state of Indiana.
He's a legend. I stalk him throughout boys and girls basketball season because I see him almost every Friday night or Saturday. And, yeah, Rake does it for all the right reasons, and he is probably the best source of Indiana high school sports information that I know. He has a brain like a computer. He can just remember everything.
There's no question about that. Getting ready for Game 4 tonight over at the Fieldhouse. One of the things we talked to Greg about just a little bit there. It feels like we're at the point in the series now. What haven't we talked about? What haven't we said? But how do we – I think the big question tonight, Kevin, is how do they keep that fourth quarter momentum and what we saw from the bench in the second quarter the other night? How do they keep that going, knowing that Oklahoma City is going to come out with a couple of little wrinkles, and they'll learn from what they did in Game 3 as well?
I thought Mark Dagnall had a pretty funny and made me hungry and honestly think of Puccini's probably
I know where you're going with this.
analogy the other night before Game 3. Someone was asked him, as you get this deep into the postseason, do you pretty much know everything that your opponent is going to throw at you? He made the analogy of a food menu. You know everything that's on the opponent's menu. You just are unsure of necessarily when they're going to throw said things at you. I guess if I could take it a step further, do the Thunder have a Cheesecake Factory menu, or is it a little bit more Steak and Shake like menu?
God, you read my mind. I thought cheesecake immediately. That menu was insane.
We've lost Mark for the rest of the show.
Well,
Thank
I'm
you.
just saying
It is a bit
the
scary.
Cheesecake Factory menu is like 40 pages
It's a book.
long. Yeah.
Mark
It's a
and I
binder.
are separated for a week, and then I feel like we've just been on the same wavelength all week long, which is a bit scary. Pray for Ashley. Pray for Maddie. But in all seriousness, like what else? I mean, what will change for the Thunder, if at all? Because I think for the first time, I don't want to act like the Pacers dominated the other night, but I thought the Pacers were definitely much more in control for stretches than they were in games 1 and 2. Having said that, I still think the Pacers have another gear. Guys, the Pacers didn't really shoot it that well.
No, they haven't. I think they were 33.3%.
That was one of the
from
worst
threes.
shooting performances of the playoffs, easily, especially one that ended in a win. So what is different? Is there something that they have not gone to yet? I mean, we've seen the two bigs. We've seen a little bit of zone. From a rotational standpoint, they've pretty much played all their guys. I don't think people are clamoring. Maybe it's Caruso for Case and Wallace in the starting lineup. So that would be the question. Menu-wise, what's left on it? And do we see anything different, as it is a massively critical game in this series?
I think one thing the Pacers, it'll be key for them, James. They were down 8 at the end of the first quarter the other night, and you thought, this could get away from them if another 10-0 run comes their way from Oklahoma City. But they did a really nice job in that second quarter, especially with the bench and everything. They never let that game become, when they were in the deficit, more than a 2 or 3 possession game.
Chris Denieri, you get on the call. Second quarter, okay? you do your job.
Now
you do
Mark
your
has
part.
to.
Exactly. But no, I do think that is a good point you made. And also, as far as wrinkles that OKC could throw out there, I wonder if they're going to try to get SGA off the ball more. Not necessarily in their half-court offense, but just bringing it up. Because you're asking this guy to bring the ball up 94 feet all game long. I'm sorry if you heard my stomach growl because I did not eat this morning. But
you should have joined the Bowen family last night.
I should have. I was doing. I was actually at Prime 47 last night with the with the athletic staff. Yeah.
Puccini's or Prime 47.
I think our probably costs as much as your
I'm waiting for
bill.
107.5 The Fan to say, hey James, and crew, let's go to Prime 47. But when your boss says, hey, come to dinner, you do not pass that up. No, you don't.
All right.
But getting back to
not this boss is who you're referring to?
the one that keeps lights on. This one also keeps lights on.
We've had some nice lunches before.
We have. I mean, I get free breakfast every Tuesday. I cannot complain about anything in life right now. But in all seriousness, yes, shout out to Cluster Truck. Evan Sherrill, I love you. But in all seriousness, when you look at SGA, I think part of the exhaustion is that you wear him down throughout the game. And then you look at some of those shots late, they were short. A lot of them were short. He was getting to his spots, but you can't raise up and shoot if your legs are gone because you've been dribbling the ball for 94 feet all game long. So I just wonder if someone like Caruso, Jalen Williams, Cason Wallace, they could bring the ball up. But even then, you run the risk of, if these guys aren't great ball handlers, Andrew Nembhard and Aaron Nesmith might, take your lunch.
And was that a season high in turnovers for OKC the other night?
I'll have to check and see, but it certainly was high.
Yeah, it was close. So, again, that's probably where they sit and say, well, we hope / obviously will not be that poor in game.
Well, they finished with 17 turnovers. They're probably
17? I thought it was 19.
Yeah, probably not their season high.
It feels like, though, and just watching this team from afar all season long, Pacers are going to get the best that Oklahoma City has to give tonight, right? That's the expectation.
I mean, yeah, it's just you can't replicate desperation, right? So OKC knows if we don't win this game, we're probably dead in this series. And to give them some credit, they've been here before against the other MVP in Nikola Jokic before SGA won it this year. So they know what it takes to come back in a series and win a series. It's just that they haven't seen this team, obviously on this stage. And the Pacers, if it's close, man, they smell blood and they usually get the job done.
And I think the really important thing, too, we've talked about these statistics ad nauseum, and I apologize if people have heard them all week long, but Tyrese Halliburton, that threshold when he scores 20 points or more, you get him and Siakam to both score 20 points or more, and then you get that third contribution like we got from Mathurin the other night. That's a recipe for success for the Indiana Pacers.
Yeah, anytime you tell me Mathurin's going to score 20 off the bench, I think the Pacers' chances of winning that game
it could be Nesmith or
high.
him, but it's been somebody is my point.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah,
I still can't believe Mathurin the other night doesn't play in the first quarter. 10th guy into the game. 22 minutes of basketball, 27 points.
He probably had all these buckets ready for y'all in the first quarter, and Rick was messing around.
In the NBA Finals.
Yeah. But it's been fun to watch this team, especially from three-point range, because it's been Mathurin had the game the other night. At Game 6 of the Eastern Conference Finals, not a huge tally at the end of the night, but those 3 threes all of a sudden from Thomas Bryant came from nowhere. We saw Nesmith take over a game against the Knicks with three-point shooting down the stretch. When they get that third person to get really hot from three, whether it's Miles sometimes, that's when they're really tough to beat.
Yeah, Miles has not been at the level that he normally is.
Been sick.
I do understand that, but I'm trying to finish my thought there. But
sorry.
If he feels better tonight, does he, provide another X factor like presence on the floor? Because he is someone who, again, they've survived him not being himself. If he is himself, I'm thinking, man, look out OKC.
Well, Game 4 coming your way tonight. Let's hear all about it right now. It is time for the Morning Checkdown.
The Morning Checkdown on 93.5 and 107.5 The Fan.
These are the particulars. 8:30 broadcast time tonight with Mark Boyle and Eddie Gill. Before that, from 8 to 8:30, Pat Boylan has the pregame. And for 5 hours before that, JMV is going to be over at Pivot Bar. So make sure you go and say hi to him. It'll be a cast of thousands. You'll be down there as well, JV,
5 o'clock,
right?
pull up, say what's up.
You scheduled to be on that show at all tonight, KB? Or not?
I am not.
All right. We'll check it all out. But anyway, it's going to be a day of talking about this game tonight and getting you ready to go. And just as we said for Game 3, probably the biggest game in franchise history again tonight, right, Kevin?
And let's go with the Miles Turner update. I know we just mentioned it a little bit earlier, but he's not on the injury report. So the illness has not led to him popping up on the injury report. The update from Rick Carlisle yesterday was Miles came in for the film session, went home after that. Obviously just 1 day break, so it's not like the Pacers practice yesterday. So it does sound like an improving Miles Turner just based off how the injury report looks. And so that will I know it was kind of a big storyline exiting Game 3.
Game 4 tonight at the Fieldhouse. And again, Pacers lead by a count of 2-1. The Indiana Fever will be back in action tomorrow against the defending champion New York Liberty, and we still don't have any idea whether or not Caitlin Clark is ready to come back from that injured quad, James Boyd.
No, we do not. So we will see what they say, later today, potentially, or tomorrow. She could be a game-time decision.
That is the undefeated New York Liberty, right? Beating their opponents by like 19 a game. So, yes, that is a marquee one tomorrow afternoon with or without Caitlin Clark giving the opponent.
Yeah, and you'll be able to hear it live right here on 93.5 and 107.5 The Fan. Meanwhile, the National Hockey League, the Stanley Cup Finals continue, and last night in Florida, Game 4, Edmonton was really in a hole. They were down 2-1 in Florida, down 3-0 at the end of one. They come back to take a 4-3 lead until Florida ties the game up with 19 seconds remaining, and then in overtime, Leon Draisaitl gets the game winner. For the second time in this series, he's gotten a game winner in overtime, and that series is all tied up at 2. And, James, you are a late convert now to the Stanley Cup Finals.
Yeah, I was out last night hanging out with some NBA people, and one of my editors actually went to Florida Atlantic University, so he was a Florida Panthers fan, or he is a Florida Panthers fan, and he was sick last night. Yes, he was making those noises for different reasons because he was sad, Kevin, after that game. That was a fantastic game. And playoff hockey, man, gets you to the edge of your seat.
It's so quick, right? Just boom, it's over.
And it's like pain or joy, agony or, euphoria.
All right, moving on to the Indianapolis Colts. They finished their off-season workouts with the OTAs and the mini camp yesterday. No real big news coming out of there. Kevin, what was your big takeaway from the entire session over the last 6 weeks or so?
Anthony Richardson's hurt again.
Yeah. That's what it seems to always come down to, doesn't it?
I think it's pretty obvious.
Yep.
The quarterback competition lasted for one practice. So, yeah, that's the unfortunate nature to the dominant storyline exiting the spring. So, again, 5.5 weeks off. The Colts did have 100% participation in terms of people attending the mandatory training camp or mini camp. I know that's not a given around the NFL. So, basically, no contract disputes. And, I mean, James, outside of a maybe Bernard Ryman contract extension, JT Tuimoloau needs to sign his rookie contract before camp starts. I don't see much on the newsy front here over the next month plus.
No, and I mean, honestly, if we're getting news at this point in the offseason, it's probably bad news. So I know, like every coach says, stay out of trouble.
Yeah, and we talked about bad news in the NFL. Antonio Brown, who just continues his free fall in life since leaving the National Football League, is now wanted on attempted murder charges down in Florida for an incident that took place after a celebrity boxing event in Miami about a month ago. That's just crazy.
It is crazy. I remember when that first kind of came out, and if anything will come of it, and all I can say is it is the latest string of events for a guy who, at one point in his career, seemed like a surefire Hall of Famer.
Yeah, this is a Washington Post report. His quote was regarding the boxing event that happened last night. This was after the event. Brown wrote, "I was jumped by multiple individuals who tried to steal my jewelry and cause physical harm to me. Contrary to some video circulating, police temporarily detained me until they received my side of the story and then released me. I went home that night and was not arrested," he wrote in all caps. Now they want to talk to him again. That's what we know. We can also tell you Major League Baseball yesterday. It was the Brewers over the Cardinals 6-0, and the Cubs did get a win against the Pirates 3-2. So good news for you, Mark Dykton. You had that going for you.
I'll take it.
All
Mark, wait till you see what happened just now to Justin Thomas.
Oh.
Boy, he just missed 3 putts inside of 3 feet.
Yeesh. That sounds like me.
I was going to say, we've all done that,
Is
haven't
Brooks
we?
Koepka back?
I think depends on what he does today. He's right there. He's put himself in position to have a good tournament.
He had an early bogey, 2 birdies bouncing back from that. I mean, that man's won a couple U.S. Opens.
Yeah, J.J. Spaun at 4 under par will tee off at 12:52 today. Brooks Koepka at 3 under, and Thurston Lawrence also at 3 under par.
Is Patrick Reed's double eagle yesterday? Is that harder to get than a home one?
Yes.
Home one?
Yeah, without question.
That's only the 4th albatross in U.S. Open history.
Yeah. He was as shocked as anybody.
Yeah, that was quite the reaction from Patrick.
Well, I don't think he could really see the actual whether it went in or not from where he was, could he?
Thurston Lawrence. It sounds like an adult film star.
I was thinking of Thurston Howell III.
Oh, my.
Speedos and adult stars, Kevin. That's where you're at this morning.
Boy, Koepka looks like Koepka here early on, and he has been horrific in majors lately. I know, like, Koepka has an aura to him from a major standpoint, but lately he has been absolutely horrific. But right now, Brooks Koepka looks like a man that you're going to have to contend with here at Oakmont.
All right. The Indianapolis Indians won a doubleheader against St. Paul last night. They will play again at 7:05 over at Victory Field if you're looking for something other than the Pacers to do, and I can't imagine what that might be. But there you go. There are your options tonight. Coming up in a moment, we'll start to take your calls, sounding off on what you expect to happen, what you want to see happen tonight in Game 4 over at the Fieldhouse. Scott Agnes joins us at 9. It's the Fan Morning Show, 93.5 and 107.5 The Fan.
You're listening to the Fan Morning Show on Sports Radio 93.5 and 107.5 The Fan.
Happy Friday. Not only is it a great Friday, but we got a game for the NBA Finals tonight. We've been talking about that for a couple of days now. Pacers lead 2-1 over the Oklahoma City Thunder. And let's get everybody else involved right now. I've been hearing us yapping on for this last couple of days about this Game 4 coming out of the win from Game 3. So we go to the phone lines at 239-1070 right now. Mike and Don are on the line. We'll start with you, Mike. Good morning. Welcome to the show. What are you thinking for Game 4 tonight, my man?
I think we'll get it done. It'll be tough. The main reason I called in, you guys brought up a very good subject earlier when you were talking about every player on the Pacers having a flaw of some kind. Agree with that, 100%. Big fan of Aaron Nesmith. I tell all my Southern Indiana friends when I talk about Aaron that if he was 6'8", he would be all NBA.
Yeah.
But I would contend that he is by far the least flawed Pacer, and that he plays great defense, hits the floor for loose balls, does the dirty work, knocks down the threes, goes to the bucket. The big slam he had against Milwaukee coming into the free throw lane and dunking to help him get that win in the game. I'm just a huge Aaron Nesmith fan.
It's hard not to be.
I was going to say, well, yeah, Mike, thanks for the call. He certainly is a fan favorite and one of the best role players, if not the best role player in the league, considering his contract. I think Aaron Nesmith, he's honestly due probably for a game in this series. I know last game he had a big 3 late, but he's been kind of quiet. I would not expect it to continue for the rest of the series.
I think it's well said by Mike. Appreciate the call. The 3, and I think he either had a steal right before the 3 or right after the 3. I remember those were kind of back-to-back plays there, which really, really, I thought, iced it. I mean, Obi's tip dunk probably iced it, but I thought Nesmith making those plays. And, again, the Pacers shot it well from 3 in Game 1. Game 2 and 3, though, they did not. And I think that is why another reason why I think the Pacers are, going to win this series. And I really don't have too much worry about it. I expect the Pacers to kind of get back to them really shooting it well from the perimeter at some point. And hell, you won Game 3 without, needing to have this prolific night from behind the arc. And really, the Thunder shot it great, especially through the first 3 quarters there.
Thank you very much, Mike. Appreciate that. Don's up next here on the Fan Morning Show. Good morning, Don. What are you thinking tonight? Don, are you there?
Oh, this is like Rick Carlisle saying
going
that
twice.
Miles Turner may not be with us.
Yeah, Don.
Don, I hope you're still with us.
I hope Don
we
is
can
still with us.
go to Good Jimmy instead.
All right, Good Jimmy. You're up.
Good morning, guys. How are we doing?
Good.
Jimmy, great to hear your voice, brother.
Great to hear you guys. And, Jeff, I've always listened to you and appreciate you. I've met you a few times at JMB's remote.
Yeah,
and,
you're terrific.
You're rolling with 2 great dudes. So I appreciate you guys. And I always listen to all 3 shows and even the show in between, even if I don't like it very much. But hey, I just wanted to throw something you guys away on tonight's Game 4. I'm thinking I really love the energy and the way Mathurin played in Game 3, and I think it is sustainable. I think he's going to bring it again tonight and be our X factor. I love the way Siakam is a calming force on the court with the finals and championship experience, but you can't teach energy and effort, and I think Mathurin brings it every night. I'm going to be in the building again tonight, gentlemen, and I'm really looking forward to bringing the energy. And one last thing, this is for KB. KB, who's going to win the U.S. Open? I'm going with Brooks Koepka. You guys have a great day. Take care.
Great to hear from you, Jimmy.
Jimmy, always bringing it there. Yeah, Koepka's a good pick. I'll go just a counter. I guess you and I are both in the live boat here. I'll go John Rahm.
That was my pick before.
Oh.
Remember we talked about it the other day.
You could win a lot of money with laying down some cash on that before. Jimmy always brings the energy. Appreciate the call.
Yeah, Jimmy's always around, too. Always at the show supporting us, and can't thank him
He's
enough.
always there. Terrific.
Don is back if we want to go to Don.
Okay.
Don is called back.
Don, we've got
ahead.
you back. Sorry we dropped you there, but you are on now, the Fan Morning Show, Game 4 tonight. What are you thinking, my man?
I'm thinking we're going to get it done. We got to get it done, I think. But You know what? I just want everybody to get off Matherin because he's one of my favorites behind Lance Stevens. I'm always a big Lance Stevens fan. Anytime you blow in LeBron's ear, you're a fan. I'm a fan of yours.
That is one of the great moments.
Oh, I thought it was.
Oh, we lost him again. I don't know where he's calling from there.
I think to focus on Don's point there, and I brought this up once yesterday to talk about Matherin. Outside of Halliburton, and hell, at times I feel like he's debated even more than Halliburton, we just constantly dissect Matherin. Constantly. It is like, I feel like it's, a petri dish with how much we analyze his game, and it's like, wait a minute. Can you not just appreciate what he is? And that is an elite 3-level scorer, as cold can be. Coming off the bench, not even playing the first quarter. And then, bam, he delivers on this NBA final stage. Like, there's not a lot of dudes that can do that and are wired in that way. And on a roster that is filled with highly skilled dudes that all have some very impressive and unique talents, so does Matherin. No one is like him on this roster. So, yeah, do you feel like at times you want more from him defensively, and would you like for him to make the extra pass? Sure, that's all gravy. But let's also acknowledge what he does exceptionally well, and really no one else on the roster does it. And without him right now, you're talking about a 2-1 deficit, and we're now viewing tonight a whole lot differently than we currently are.
Appreciate the phone call, as short as it was, Don. Martin is up next here at 93.5, 107.5 The Fan. Good morning, Martin. What are you thinking?
Hey, guys. Hey, how we doing, man? I'm thinking the Pacers are really confident because they know they don't have to play perfectly to beat these guys because they've not played perfectly this whole series. And they're
great point.
Yeah, they're playing loose. Miles Turner hadn't done a whole lot. I know he's under the weather. Haven't had the big 3-point game yet. But I am a season ticket holder. I want to tell you guys something cool that happened after the game. There was the ABC affiliate from Oklahoma City, their sports guy trying to do a post-game show. And me and about 20 other Pacer fans just totally drowned them out. They actually delayed them going on the air because it was nothing but, Pacer fans going crazy in the background. They didn't want to put that on TV in Oklahoma City. So let's go Pacers, and I'll be in the building tonight.
Martin, don't they know better? They should know better, right? Come on.
If you're going to do those stand-ups, you probably should do it in a quieter area.
Yeah, exactly.
Wherever they're doing it.
No, I think you made a great point about how they haven't played their best basketball, but they don't need to. And to me, that is probably one of the more fascinating things about this series so far because I thought they would have to be, quote-unquote, perfect to beat this OKC team. And I get it because they had won 68 games in the regular season. They have the MVP. They got all NBA defenders, all these things. But it seems like their margin for error actually has been bigger than OKC's when it comes to these games because, as we talked about throughout, this show and really all season, they have somebody, it seems like every night, doesn't matter if it's the same guy, step up when they need to. And then I thought last game, you kind of got that from a collection of guys, which is why that game turned the way it did and didn't turn back.
Quickest turnaround of the series tonight from Game 3. You think that favors the Pacers or Thunder?
Pacers, in my opinion.
Pacers.
Yes. But also, again, do you tactically change something? Because asking SGA, who we saw was gassed 2 nights ago, to do the same exact thing again against this team on one day of rest does not seem like a good approach, in my opinion.
Yeah, that was the most minutes he has played in quite a while. And we've talked about how much I thought the Pacers kind of hunted him, honestly, on the defensive end of the floor as well. So, yes, I'll be very curious. The quick turnaround, how these two teams react. I would agree. I think it heavily favors the Pacers, but we'll see tonight, 8:30. 12 hours from now, we'll be 2.5 minutes into the game.
Yeah, I would expect both teams to play. Honestly, I think this will be, to date, the best game of the series, and that's saying something because I think both teams are going to play at an exceptionally high level tonight. I really expect both to bring their best.
Yes, yeah, it was great theater in Game 3, and I expect the same in Game 4.
All right, coming up in a moment, we'll discuss Game 4 a little bit more. Also, touch on the Colts in the offseason, what they've got going on there, and a little ticket update for you next on 93.5 and 107.5 The Fan.
You're listening to the Fan Morning Show on Sports Radio 93.5 and 107.5 The Fan.
Everybody fired up on this Friday, getting ready for Game 4 of the NBA Finals tonight. And I know my son's in here. He's excited about it, and he was watching it from an airport because he was traveling back from a camp the other day, and he was all excited about that. And then he texted me. I bet this happens all the time. Dad, I can see it, but what's going on with that foul? Was it a flagrant foul? Was it a not? And I had to say, because they couldn't hear what was going on. So everybody's excited about this. And I know your household's all fired up to go tonight too, KB, right?
Yeah, well, I mean, we're not going to the game, to be clear, as a family. But, yeah, they are very,
You
very...
ain't got $20K?
I do not have $20K.
All their finances are tied up in Speedos right now.
Exactly, yeah.
Here's what it is, by the way. I was
Spend
looking...
$1,000 on 2.5-year-old Max Bowen to go to the game
give us
tonight.
the get-in price?
$1,000 ain't going to get you in, by the way. Game 6. I was looking, I'm like, okay, maybe Game 6, I'll get some tickets and see.
$1,000 won't get you in the building tonight?
No. You ready for
Tonight?
this?
Tonight?
Tonight, I'll check on tonight.
Oh.
But for Game 6, I was just looking this
Game
up.
6 can be a clinch. That's
Yeah.
a different animal.
You ready for the amazing deal
Yeah.
that they're on StubHub
I got
right
it.
now? $1,024 for the amazing deal per ticket. The best deal, the best-selling deal, is $1,254 in Section 209.
Oh, I'm seeing $821 for Section 205 is the cheapest
Tonight.
option. Yeah, for tonight.
Tonight, yeah. Well, you're right. Clinching could be a little.
I just heard Grant in the back go, oh, my God.
Yeah, I mean, clinch on a Thursday
Say,
night.
I'm going to say, Grant, you ain't going half on it with me to, get me in the door, man? Come
I mean,
on.
if the Pacers clinch Game 6 on a Thursday in the great
wait,
history...
that was for Game 4 that I saw on StubHub. But anyway, go ahead.
In the great history of our city, state capital, and state, there will have never have been a least productive business day than June 21st. A week from Friday, if the Pacers are able to clinch next Thursday night, you might as well, nothing. It will be the least productive commercially business day, commerce, however you want to define it, in the history of our great state.
I'm actually not joking about this. I think about this when teams win championships. Just treat it like it's like a storm, a winter storm. Load up on whatever you need the day before, because if they win this thing, why are you going into somebody's establishment? They don't want to be there either.
I mean, I felt that way walking back to the station the other night after the game. I can only imagine what tonight's going to be like when it's a true weekend.
Right, unless you're trying to get some gas or something. Please, no.
Can you imagine the non-sports fan boss who the next day if they win the championship is like, hey, we have a Zoom meeting at 9 a.m. I'd be like, stick it where the sun don't shine.
Mark is bringing back my PTSD. I had a boss in college when I was a resident advisor, and my resident director above me was the most anti-sports guy in the world. And I was on rounds duty. I got the short end of the stick on this one. I had to be in our facility or whatever and check the building when the Cubs won the World Series. The entire town of Champaign is going nuts, and this guy wanted me to write noise complaints. Write people up for being too loud. And he was dead serious. And I was like, I am deaf. I am not doing this.
You're leaving a lit paper bag on that guy's front porch.
The only thing I did do, we had a guy, he put the Go Cubs Go on the loop super loud. And he left his room and locked the door, and it played all night. And so I ended up getting our master key, knocking on the door. He wasn't in there. I went in his room, cut the thing off, and it was at that point it was 3 a.m. I'm like, all right, man, we got to tone it down a little bit. But yes, he told me to walk around and make sure people were not being too loud.
People are booing your ass.
On a college campus. I'm like, you want me to just, get beat up?
That'd be the nicest thing that happened if someone booed you.
Man, for real.
James, verify this for me. I'm looking out on my phone. If you want row 4 seats near the middle of the floor, what does that say? Am I reading that wrong?
No, you read it. Go ahead and read it. Oh, Jesus.
$70,398. It says. Am I making that up, James?
You're not.
For un ticket?
It says each total.
Oh, Lord.
It says quantity 2 tickets, but
okay. So that's not too bad. It's not as bad.
Yeah.
Right.
Man, oh man.
A couple nice cars. What are the Lord?
The separate members of the Simon family going tonight? Eli Lilly folks coming over there?
What did my family teach me? All you need in this town is money.
I'll be curious if we get Larry in the building tonight.
That's what I'm looking for. He's here, right?
Sounded like
I hope so.
Rick Carlisle mentioned yesterday that
you know what?
He was in town for draft workouts. So we'll see if Larry Legend makes an appearance
Game
tonight.
4 news for you. Nate Atkins of Indy Star actually incorrectly reported this the other day. He wrote a story on Jermaine O'Neal, his love of the city, and kind of how this run has helped him get through some of just the brawl, the incident, stuff like that, and some of that scar tissue with the Pacers. He wasn't there for Game 3, but he will be there tonight for Game 4 for this series against OKC. So I'm excited to see him back in the building tonight.
Wow.
That will be a loud cheer when he deservedly so.
That dude was amazing
a loud
for
cheer.
this franchise.
I think he's a little bit more of I think there is a large section of the Pacers fan base that appreciates him much, much more than maybe even he realizes.
Yeah.
I don't think you have.
I think it's good for them to get that love, too. Like, come back and let people celebrate you. Yes, what happened with the brawl and losing in the finals and all that.
Are there people out there that really blame Jermaine O'Neal for the brawl?
I don't think it's him, but I think it's him just still.
I know.
If you watch the Netflix documentary,
sure,
it was hard.
He's spoken very candidly about it. Yeah. I totally get it. But I guess Jermaine O'Neal, if you're listening, I think there is a massive, massive chunk of the Pacers fan base.
Oh, they'll remind him tonight.
They throw you up on that Jumbotron, you're going to hear it. He's one of the greater Pacers ever.
Yes.
No question about that. Let's go to the phone lines real quick before the top of the hour. Scott Agnes is going to stop by after then. Greg is up on 93.5, 107.5 The Fan. Good morning, Greg. You ready to go tonight?
I'm ready.
What's going to happen?
I'm very ready.
What do you see?
Well, I've been watching the Pacers all year, and I think in December, you got to stay with me on this. I think that Tyrese had a Back to the Future moment, and somebody showed up in his bedroom dressed as an alien, and told him that his destiny was to win the NBA Finals. Because ever since that time, he's been playing lights out, and they've been doing remarkable things, just like what we've seen in the series. So that's theory one. Theory two.
Hell, that's theory one. Jeez, Greg.
I think.
Send me whatever you put in that coffee this morning before you get into theory two here.
Hey, I've got theory two is that James Johnson has a distant relative named Robert Johnson, and James Johnson came to the crossroads of America, and he's made a deal, and the Pacers are destined to win.
I did not follow the second one as closely as the first one, but you know what, Greg? I'll rock with it. Why not? It's Friday. Pacers are trying to get it done, and I guess you'll take all the good mojo you can. But the second story, I don't know the Robert Johnson tie to James Johnson at all, if that's even a real thing. But I did find out this week that Juju Brents is cousins with George Hill, so maybe we'll see them at the game together. Yeah.
Tyrese Halpern, I assume, listening to a lot of Eddie Van Halen then, if that's the case.
Yeah.
He's doing the Back to the Future thing.
I do want to know, do you think he's even seen that movie?
Tyrese?
He's 25?
No.
I don't know.
Yeah, no.
Probably not.
I'd probably point to him just getting healthier from the Olympics more than the alien showing up in his room.
What about both?
Oh, you guys, you're such a hater.
Hey, what? Greg's had a hell of a start to this Friday.
Alien TikTok's my favorite TikTok.
Can you imagine what he's throwing in that scrambled eggs?
Like I said, I don't know if
By the way, at some point in the 9 o'clock hour, I didn't really believe something Shane Steichen said yesterday,
Which
James.
was what?
If I could throw that at you.
Oh, at 9 o'clock hour, yeah. Okay.
Before we do that, though, I want to talk to Taylor before we get to the top of the hour and Scott Agnes. Tony? Tony's up next on 93.5, 107.5 Fan. Tony, you going to the game tonight? You just ready for the game? What's your plan?
Hey, morning, guys. No, I'm not going, but I got a message for the fans going.
Let's hear it.
We heard Coach Carlisle on Tuesday saying when they lost out in OKC how affected the crowd was. So if you're going tonight, tonight's the night to get berserk wild. So Indiana crowd, turn it up, baby.
It was turned up the other night.
Wild. I love it.
That's great. You guys, it might be a while before you get back to the station after you go to the game tonight, James.
I thought it was absolutely electric in there the other night. I told James this. I felt like Carolina Duke. Just a college basketball atmosphere broke out in an NBA arena, and I would assume tonight will be like that, and maybe even more because it's the weekend.
It's been funny, though, to listen to former NBA players warning Oklahoma City before Game 3, even like, y'all think you've been playing on the road in the playoffs. It's different in Indiana.
I think
multiple guys saying
by all accounts, Oklahoma City was extremely loud. So, I think these are two fan bases that certainly are very this is not a Miami Heat late arrival crowd. This is a crowd, I said it yesterday, 13 minutes ago on the countdown clock on Wednesday night, and Pacers came out of the tunnel, and you would have thought it was Ali and Frazier coming out.
I'm looking forward to it. We'll tell you when, where, and how coming up in a moment. Scott Agnes joins us. Give us an update on Caitlin Clark if he's got one. It's all next on 93.5 and 107.5 Fan.
You're listening to the Fan Morning Show on 93.5 and 107.5 The Fan.
Yeah, halfway there. Good morning. It's game day. Game 4 coming your way tonight. If you're just joining us, thanks so much for being here and listening and all the different ways you can listen to 93.5 and 107.5 The Fan. You can listen at either of those frequencies. My new favorite, guys, is to listen to WIBC HD2, which we're on. Probably the strongest signal that we've got. It's really clear everywhere you go around the area.
You want to explain that for our audience?
So if you've got HD radio, it's on most radios in your car. You go to 93.1, which is the WIBC, our news talk station across the hallway there. And then if you click it one time to the right, you'll get to 93.1 HD2. It's a really good signal. You can also listen to us online at 1075thefan.com or download the app. Take it with you everywhere you go on your phone at 1075 The Fan there. So lots of different ways. Or you can just say, hey, Siri or Alexa, play 1075 The Fan. She'll do that too.
And then you'll hear my beautiful voice along with these guys.
Yeah, on my 2017 Civic 93.1.
I love it.
HD2 works. So, I don't think it's like necessarily a 2025 car feature. So hopefully you've got that. But we greatly appreciate you finishing out the week with us. Before we get Scott Agnes, a happy Father's Day. All of our dads out there. Said earlier in the show, very, very lucky to have a super present, super supportive dad. So, Dad, thank you for being the ultimate role model to me and Mark and Jeff and James, your father. Happy Father's Day. My father-in-law, Mike Lubbers. Happy Father's Day to all of our dads out there.
I still have my father-in-law. My father passed away a few years ago, unfortunately. He was probably my best friend, and we've been to big games in the past, whether it's bowl games for the University of Colorado when I was growing up or a couple of Super Bowls with the Broncos. We went to a Stanley Cup Finals game together, so we've had a lot of fun. He was gone by the time the Nuggets played in the finals, but yeah, I think about him every day and hold him close. And my point is, enjoy every second you have with your dads.
Oh, I do. And I'll remind him this weekend. Yeah, could do a little better job, but, you did pretty good. But no, I'm excited to see him and my mom this weekend. Shout out to my mother as well. It's her birthday on Sunday, so sorry, Pops. I joke about freezing you out, but you are definitely going to get froze out on Sunday.
Well, looking forward to that. And, of course, Father's Day always comes for the final round of the U.S. Open. And there won't be a Sunday NBA game. That one comes Monday night, right, Kevin, for Game 5?
Yes. Yeah. Well, yeah, Monday Game 5. If there is a Game 6, that would be Thursday. Speaking of all of that, let's head to the Payless Liquors hotline right now. Scott Agnes, Fieldhouse Files, outstanding work from him. And Scott, you dialed up a pretty cool thing for some members of the media the other night there. Hinkle Fieldhouse had some, I don't want to say quality basketball played in it, but nonetheless, some basketball played in it, right?
Yeah, that's right. That's one of the things, especially with the bigger events, that there's a group of media that love to get some games in. And so while they were here, they were like, yo, any chance Hinkle? I was like, yeah, let's do it. And so appreciate the people over at Hinkle that made it happen. And so it was a fun little evening for a group of us.
Picturing, me trying to isolate Brian Windhorst a little bit there, trying to take him off the dribble.
Did the picket fence?
Yeah, unfortunately, James, I think I speak for both of us. We had a little bit of Colts stuff to attend to. I know James was extremely frustrated he could not be out there.
Yes, I was disgusted with that day and how the requirements I have for my job. So I was a professional. I did the job. But speaking of professionals, obviously, Scott Agnes, you have been all over these finals, been in multiple cities, obviously. When you look at the way the Pacers played in Game 3, how do you think they can extend that into Game 4? And does it require another Benedict Mathurin, an explosion off the bench, or could it be somebody else?
Yeah, I think the story all season, it's been somebody else every single game, and you don't know who it is, and that's probably to their great advantage. I think the two things that stood out to me from that game was the turnover difference, the fact that the team that turns it over the least in the league, you turned over like 19 times. I think if you're the Pacers, you're absolutely trying to replicate that. And then as a totality, what they were able to do from the bench level, that was much more of what we had expected in this series. The fact that the previous game, right, we saw Caruso and Aaron Wiggins basically outscore the Pacers bench by themselves. Well, Mathurin did it and flipped the script here in Game 3. So I think that's the other way you continue it. And then I would add, I think you challenge SGA at every possibility. It's funny, we're used to seeing that lately in the last 12 months with Caitlin Clark. You give SGA kind of that Caitlin experience, right, where no matter where he is on the floor, you're surrounding him, you're keeping a body on him, you're rotating through. And I think at one point there were about 5 different Pacers that had spent time defending him. Those are all things that I think have to continue for them to have success tonight. It's
funny you bring up Caitlin Clark. I was watching and listening to SiriusXM NBA the other day, and their morning show asked Pascal Siakam this question: who's a bigger star in Indiana, Tyrese Halliburton or Caitlin Clark? What do you think?
No question. It's Caitlin.
I'm about to say, what? I was going to say this should be a statement.
He laughed. They all laughed.
That's one of the dumber
point.
questions, honestly.
Well, they were having fun with it. They were all laughing at it. But that's the point.
By the way, to that point.
Go ahead.
I was just going to say, to that point, what has been interesting is you see a variety of questions when you have so many media in town, and several of them, especially a couple foreign, have been asking about Caitlin. Do you practice with her? It's like, I don't think they realize how separate the two are. But nonetheless, even a handful of reporters made their way to Fever practice yesterday to ask about the team and the two sharing some special runs right now and such. So that's been fun to follow as well.
Yeah, and I think the premise of the question, the follow-up afterwards was, what would an NBA Finals win mean for Tyrese and his popularity here in the state of Indiana?
Oh, it'd mean everything, right? This city has needed some kind of success, some kind of championship, and for him to be able to drive it home for the first time in NBA franchise history, it would do so much. And then I think it would completely cement kind of his legacy as a Pacer, because Indiana's had so many good players come through, and the challenge has been keeping them here. Well, he's made clear he wants to stay here. He's re-signed here, but if he could get a championship here, that puts him over the top. And probably moves him into like top 5 players, all time. And he's only been here like 3 years. So it would be significant.
Oh, the conversations will get very interesting if he would win a championship. I will say, though, for that question, if he does win a championship, he still is not going to hold a candle to Caitlin Clark's popularity. Like, she's like Taylor Swift. You know that, Scott. You've been to all these games. It is a different – she's Tiger Woods. She's Michael Jordan when it comes to just level of fame, seriously. But looking back at – yeah. I mean, we've seen it, brother. I'm like, man, this is a lot.
It's Taylor Swift light. You're exactly right.
Yes. And looking at, this series as a whole, I know a lot of the talk coming into it was, Pacers have to play perfect. The margin for error is so slim. How do you think they've been able to shift this series from a margin of error standpoint, where it feels like even in Game 3, they didn't play their absolute best basketball, but they won in decided fashion because they continue to do it together?
Yeah, the interesting thing in all this is I don't think either team has probably gone out and played a great game or a perfect game where they just feel good about everything, whether it's turnovers, threes, the rebounding margin. The Pacers in all 3 games have been outscored in the first quarter. That's been an issue for them, and something they're going to obviously try to flip the script here tonight with Game 4. But I think for the Thunder here, I think they just need to put the last game behind them and move on and continue that confidence that they established throughout the regular season. I think one of the best attributes about these teams, and probably the reason among them that they are here, is they don't allow for one loss to become 2, 3, 4, and quickly flip the script. And that's probably a great attribute of a championship level team like we're seeing right now.
Scott, does a winner tonight win the series?
I think so. It sure feels that way, right? Pacers either step their throat on OKC and get firm control, or OKC flips the script, makes it best of 3, and heads home feeling good about what they were able to do here.
You expecting anybody in attendance tonight of note? I know, Rick had mentioned before Game 4 that Larry Bird, before Game 3 that Larry Bird was in town for draft workouts coming up this week. It's wild to think the draft is 12 days away. Anybody of note you think inside of Gainbridge Fieldhouse tonight?
I think you'll just continue to see a lot of players. I think Jermaine O'Neal's maybe one of the names that I heard. But I think it's been great to see the dozen or so Pacers that are basically at each of these games. I can tell you, being in OKC, they had nothing like this. I think I even mentioned it last week, that it's just like, here's Adam Silver, the commissioner of the league, sitting courtside. And that was it. Like, you didn't have any former players. You didn't have an Oklahoma football player. It was surprising that there was absolutely nothing. And so the Pacers easily topped that, and I expect it to continue here tonight. I was I had an event at St. Emil last night, and there was Mark Jackson dining on my way out. So the fact that he's still here, I would expect to see him at Game 4 as well.
We need to have him show up with a Reggie Miller jersey if Reggie's going to use the Mark Jackson jersey.
A little Mark Jackson shimmy on the Jumbotron tonight.
Yeah, I like that. Real quickly before we let you
Jackson
go.
Jiggle.
Yeah, I know you're big on the Fieldhouse Files of covering the Indiana Fever. Do we find out today or tomorrow on the status of Caitlin Clark for tomorrow's game against the Liberty? What are you thinking there?
Yeah, I think we'll have a better idea today. We saw them at practice yesterday. They were both active and getting shots up from the portion of practice that we were allowed to see in. The thing I go back to is even before these injuries, Stephanie White, who took over as head coach, emphasized, "Hey, look, we're playing the long game, and so that's what we want to get after here." It sounds like after hearing Sophie talk, and she was like, "Look, I probably rushed back coming back from an ankle injury." Based on what she said, and Steph, it wouldn't surprise me if both of those players, I think it's more likely than not, actually. I think both of those players to sit Saturday and then look to target a return for early next week seems the most likely scenario. But we'll see how they are at practice and how their body responds to a couple more days in a row here.
All right, Scott, thanks so much. Enjoy the game tonight. We'll talk to you again soon, and let's turn it up here in Indianapolis, shall we?
Absolutely. Sounds good. Thanks, guys.
There he is, Scott Agnes on the Payless Liquors hotline right there. And, I don't know, if you're the Fever, real quick, knowing that the Liberty are coming in undefeated, defending champions, you don't really know how fit and ready to go Caitlin and Sophie are. You just kind of keep them on the shelf till later on?
Yeah, I guess if that's what you've seen throughout practice, but the bottom line is they have to start getting some wins here with or without Caitlin Clark, and even with her, that would have been a very hard game because the Liberty are playing very good basketball. I think Nafisi Collier might be the front runner, or not even might. She is the front runner right now for MVP.
Well, that's tomorrow. We're all focused on tonight with Game 4, Pacers and Oklahoma City Thunder, and you talk about it a lot, and I know it feels like we're beating a dead horse at some point in time, Kevin. But I don't want to get back to it because I think it's so key. Pacers just need to put Oklahoma City in a tough situation in the fourth quarter. Can you hold on to a 2 or 3 point lead on the road? Can you withstand what we're going to bring you? And they could not in Game 3. And it was all Pacers in the fourth quarter, just what you'd been talking about. You put them in a tight spot, and the Pacers are very comfortable there.
Yeah, it was my biggest key in the series. And so far, that's played out here through the first 3 games when you've gotten it into the clutch. Again, the Pacers thrive, and the other team, in particular Oklahoma City, they're trying to survive. 1 field goal, final 5.5 minutes the other night for Oklahoma City, after they had really one of their better offensive nights in a while, better shooting nights, I should say, through the first 3 quarters. So I think that is, once again, a vital key. I'd argue it's even a bigger key tonight on the quick turnaround. Legs late in the game tonight will be something to keep an eye on. And if you look at the minutes played, the deeper these series go, the more I think it is advantage Pacers because they are so willing. I cannot remember a game this playoff series where Rick Carlisle's had to abandon the rotation, where he's had to play Tyrese Halliburton a 43-minute game. No, it's just been, pretty status quo on minutes played. Honestly, you probably have some Pacers fans griping to get the starters back in the game. But there is a long game thought in it. So, yes, I think that is, once again, a huge key. Certainly was the other night, and I would argue tonight probably more than any other game this series because it is the only time that we have just one day in between games.
We talk about all the guys that the Pacers have that can have a big night shooting threes. Oklahoma City's got a few guys, too. I mean, we saw a guy come in for a few minutes the other day, give them a big lift. Isaiah Joe came on, hit a bunch of threes.
Lou Dort shooting
I was just going to say, Lou Dort had 3-point shots going, and Williams hasn't really gotten going yet, but he can get hot from 3 as well.
Yeah, Lou Dort's shooting form is so unique to me because he kicks his leg out at the end, and I'm always thinking, is that a brick? I know,
I can't tell if it's an air ball or a switch.
Yeah, right. The way he shoots it and his stance afterwards, it's such a unique shot, but he's been playing very well offensively for them. But again, it's can you play a complete game against this Pacers team? Because we've seen these ebbs and flows. They'll look dominant for stretches against the Pacers, and the Pacers seem to always punch back. And again, when it's close, at this point, I don't think I'll pick against the Pacers ever again in a close game with this unit out there because they've, weathered that storm and come out on the other side pretty much every single time in these playoffs. I believe, 9-1 in clutch games so far. And I believe the last game didn't count as a clutch game, but it was very clutch, the plays they had to make to win that game.
You guys, either of you worried about the fact that Nembhard and Nesmith both got into foul trouble in the last game?
I'm not too worried, but I did see a question from, I don't know who this reporter is. he asked SGA, hey, what about Andrew Nembhard getting under your skin or agitating you or, upsetting you? What is it about that? And he looked at him and was like, I'm not agitated. I'm fine. And, I don't know what you're talking about. And he gave a little smile, and I was like, is that going to be like a 50 ball the next game or what? Because, that guy is still the MVP. He's capable of having a big game.
I think Nembhard is getting under skin a little. Yeah, and I know SGA has a pretty quiet demeanor, pretty calm individual. But I think Nembhard is starting to get there. And that, again, underrated topic we should have talked about more the other night. I thought Nembhard's, and really it should be plural. I thought the Pacers did a better job of just making that initial pick and roll difficult for SGA to navigate through. Oftentimes in game 1, 2, I thought he split that thing way too easily. And boom, next thing you know, he's in the lane, and it's feast at that point for him. I thought they did a much better job just keeping things tougher for him. And the 24 points, I thought, was a bit of a struggle to get to the 24. And I know that, yes, Nembhard and Nesmith got in foul trouble, but I also thought their physicality was key at different points. So I'm not too worried about it. I mean, there's times I'm just like, dude, 6 fouls are so many fouls. I mean, like, I just very rarely see guys like in actual foul trouble in NBA games.
You just don't want to pick up those first three in the first half. That's
right.
What starts to get dicey.
Yeah, that's dear Lord, Scotty Scheffler. I thought he died hitting that golf shot.
Oh, what do we have going on there? We'll update the scores in a minute. How's Scotty doing today?
Chi-Chi Rodriguez and Jim Thorpe swinging that. Oh man, I drove it in the bunker, but boy, that looked awful.
I'll make sure that when I run to Scotty, here soon, I'll remind him, hey, my boy Kevin said he could, give you a few pointers.
No, let me be very clear. I did not say any of that. But
hey, welcome to the program.
I mean, we are used to Scotty
very meticulous, very smart.
Well, and we're used to Scotty looking a bit unorthodox. Wait till you see this replay. I mean, he literally looks like he sprains his ankle.
Oh, ooh, okay. I take that back. I don't want to make fun of the guy. Sorry.
No, it just looked very awkward.
He was irritated. He was one of the guys who was irritated about the rule in place for the U.S. Open this year that you can't get mud off of your ball. Like if you hit a great drive 330 and you stripe it exactly to where you want to hit it, and you get up there and there's a big old chunk of mud hanging off it, too bad. You got to hit it the way it is.
Wasn't that a rule always in golf?
Well, there was. You could go face up, face down, and
get
a clean
lift, clean in place.
Yeah, something like that.
Would love to have clean balls all the time. That would be fantastic.
Can always count on Mark.
You can't get what you want though.
Can always count on Mark. Yeah, I think he was talking about that because they had some rain before they'd had some rain that got the course really wet yesterday. So anyway, we'll talk more about that, give you an update on the scores, and get you ready to go for Game 4 tonight. Mark is so happy with himself right now.
Carson has a nice touch on his balls.
Thanks, Mike Wells.
Mike Wells just catching strays. You know I love that.
Let's check it down.
But I am a little frightened how quickly you found that.
The Morning Checkdown on 93.5 and 107.5 The Fan.
Game 4 tonight, Gainbridge Fieldhouse, 8:30, the airtime for the broadcast coverage with Mark Boyle and Eddie Gill. Pat Boyle will have the pregame at 8 o'clock. JMV is going to be at Pivot Bar from 3 until 8 this afternoon. You're going to stop by for a while too, James.
I'll be there at 5, pull up and say what's up.
All right, and Pacers lead it 2-1. Man, they can really put a big dent in Oklahoma City's championship thoughts if they can get a win tonight, KB.
Boy, it's a golden, I guess pun intended off the colors, opportunity tonight. Another gold out. You'll have a gold shirt on the chair if you're walking in.
I love that gold shirt, by the way. That might be my favorite one.
And that's a little like city uniform logo, right? Isn't that kind of?
It's the Pacers logo, but it's got all 18 players in like the city uniform.
Cool.
Like writing.
Yeah. It's got a cool font to it. So that will be tonight. And again, 8:30 coming up here.
Paid $1,800 to sit in the upper deck, and all I got was this great T-shirt, something like that.
Dang.
If you don't want that shirt, I'll take
it.
No, I'll take. I'm just saying.
Just to be clear, we're not at $1,800 level. $800, correct, Mark? That's the cheapest ticket you saw.
If you get down like lower the first couple of rows in that upper deck, it's
getting the building
pricey there
at that point.
Anyway, that comes your way later on tonight. Meanwhile, in the Stanley Cup Finals action last night, Edmonton rallied from 3 goals down, got a 4-3 lead over Florida. That went away with 19 seconds to go. It forced overtime, and Leon Draisaitl gets the game winner for his second game-winning overtime goal of the series. Edmonton and Florida all tied up at 2. And you're having a great time watching this series, James.
I felt Canadian. I was feeling the moment. I am a Connor McDavid fan, as many people are. I think that is the one thing he's missing on his resume. So to come back from like death from that team, that was playoff hockey, as my friends tell me, at its finest.
All right, so that series all tied up at 2. Meanwhile, U.S. Open. How's Scotty Scheffler doing right now? Where's he at?
I don't think he's doing great. But yeah, I think he's lurking probably. What is he, even? 1 over? Something
when
like
I hear
that?
Scotty Scheffler's lurking, I'm just like, is he going to walk the guy down? Because that's usually
2
what
over.
happens.
Yeah, that's not terrible. He's within range. J.J. Spahn at 4 under par right now. His first tee time comes today at 12:52. Thurston Lawrence is at 3 under par. Brooks Koepka and Siwoo Kim are both 2 under par. They're the only ones at 2 under or better right now, Kevin.
Yeah, Victor Hovland won. Some other names that people probably recognize: John Rahm, Colin Morikawa, Adam Scott, all at even. So yes, Oakmont yesterday yielded just 10 under par rounds. That is a very low number here based off past U.S. Opens. Our high score was 86. So it sounds like Jeff feels like he could have competed here.
Yeah.
At
Clearly,
Oakmont.
I'd have been right there through 13 holes.
Shout out to Purdue's Adam Schenk, 1 over par. Very respectable round for him yesterday. The Vincennes native. And Matt Vogt, the Butler dentist, member here at Highland Golf and Country Club. A couple 41s for him yesterday, 82 as he will get started this afternoon in round 2.
All right, let's check in on what's happening over at West 56th. It's all done and dusted for OTAs, mini camps, and all the work that gets done in the spring, James Boyd.
Yeah, I thought Daniel Jones was not the most thrilling or exciting quarterback that you'll ever see. A lot of routine passes, but a lot of them did not touch the ground. So I think that his consistency is something that they're, getting used to. And with Anthony not being in the lineup or being available, it is, in my opinion, Daniel Jones' job to lose going into training camp. So we'll see where Anthony is at when we resume training camp. I believe the report day is July 22nd and go from there. But the biggest story coming out of this spring action is that Anthony Richardson, once again, is not available for his team.
KB, Daniel Jones, could he be a much better quarterback if he just had decent line protection up front?
Colts certainly think that. Yeah, they think the other 10 around him will help him out. And offensive line-wise, I think that is a little bit of a question mark. I don't think it's like a high octane, but, you are starting a new center. You are starting a new right guard. Very young, no matter what happens at center. So that will be something to keep an eye on here once we get, obviously, into the season.
All right, very quickly, Brewers shut out the Cardinals 6-0 yesterday. Cubs over the Pirates 3-2. Reds did not play. Doubleheader win for Indianapolis. They took 2 from St. Paul. Those two teams play again at Victory Field tonight at 7:05. Anything else anybody wants to throw in before we head to break?
I think we definitely should mention IndyCar coming up Sunday night over at Gateway. I know a lot of local fans like to make the drive over there. Fun short oval under the lights. So Father's Day out there, you'll get some Oakmont action for the U.S. Open, and then a little after 8 o'clock, not going up against the NBA Finals. A great idea to change the start time for this race. So double dip here the next couple weekends. Road America coming up the weekend after this. Elkhart Lake up in Wisconsin. But yes, Gateway for IndyCar as they are back on an oval. Joseph Newgarden has been a frequent checkered flag winner there in recent years.
All right, coming up in just a moment, we'll give you another chance to sound off as you get excited for Game 4 tonight. 239-1070 is the number to call. Be looking forward to hearing from you. And we'll also have Scotty J's Super Stat. Not even just a Super Stat, it's Pop Quiz Friday. So we got a pop quiz coming up in a few minutes. And, Mark, right now, I got a family 4-pack of tickets to go see Indy 11 tomorrow night. That'll be at Carroll Stadium. If you want to go, take your family. What caller do you need to be, James Boyd? You get to choose again.
Number 1.
Fast fingers. It's championship season, right?
Yeah. If you're not first, you're last.
All right, we'll do that next as we continue 93.5 and 107.5 The Fan.
You're listening to the Fan Morning Show on Sports Radio 93.5 and 107.5 The Fan.
Happy Friday! We're getting closer and closer, just about 11 hours away from tip tonight in Game 4, the Pacers and the Oklahoma City Thunder. Looking forward to that. Just gave away a family 4-pack of tickets to go see Indy 11 tomorrow night at Carroll Stadium. And who was the benefactor of those, Mark?
It'd be John. Shout out John. He's very excited.
Benefactor, what a word.
You always on me about that.
No,
we're just talking about school. With
As
the
a
young man
writer,
over
I'm
here.
like, I gotta use that in a story soon. I gotta figure out how I'm gonna, wedge that in.
All right. In the meantime, we've opened up the phone lines if you guys want to get in on getting ready for Game 4 tonight, because I know this. If the way everybody was filing out and hanging around downtown after Game 3 the other night is any indication, I think we all know the city is fired up. But, I mean, there's fired up, and then there's, like, fired up on steroids the other night. JB.
Yeah, Grant told me he's rolling with me after the game tonight, so I got you, brother. I'll show you a good time.
You going to take him into, like, one of the little suitcases type thing? You'll be wheeling it in the back there?
No, I'm talking post-game. We're going out on the town, baby.
Can I sneak in my Colts tease from earlier?
Yes.
James Boyd, I did not believe Shane Steichen's answer on Desmond Ritter.
Who was
I did not
working out
either.
yesterday,
That definitely perked my ears up a bit. I did not believe that either.
So, again, tryout here at minicamp. NFL teams bring in 6-7 guys for tryouts. Desmond Ritter was one of the tryout guys. So the Colts end up having 4 healthy quarterbacks for the 3-day minicamp that just wrapped up. Obviously, Daniel Jones. Riley Leonard took, I would say, most of the second-team reps, James. I'd say a high percentage of the second-team reps.
How do you look?
Not great. About what you'd expect from a rookie quarterback. Jason Bean then would be kind of next on that list. And then lastly, you would put Ritter. Shane said that he was like a camp arm. Was that his comment about it? I'm like, well, I just watched 3 days of practice. How many passes do you think Desmond Ritter threw in like team drills?
I don't know if he threw any. I know there was some individual throws.
Yeah, I would agree. So I don't know about the whole camp arm. I think to call it like it is, where I know Shane didn't want to go down this path, I look at it as we are looking at potential insurance if Anthony Richardson's situation lingers at all.
Absolutely.
I don't think they view Riley Leonard as a week 1 backup if you need to cross that bridge. So
I'll be honest and say he is not right now.
Yeah. So Shane didn't want to go down that road at all, but I think that is a very real insurance possibility that you have to think about of, hey, if this Richardson thing lingers, then all of a sudden we need a backup for Daniel Jones, and I just don't think Riley Leonard, I think, is a nice project plan. No more than that, though, here in 2025. I think you need to go out, and not that Desmond Ritter's some, great option, but he has started 18 games in the NFL, and, it's a vastly different experience level than Leonard, of course.
Do we see one of those things where sometime in the next 5 weeks, Daniel Jones gets all the receivers together and flies them in and has them work out for a couple of days on their own? Do we see anything like that coming?
He did say they're working through some things to try to get some guys together, but at the same time, he does have the money for it and, got a nice contract out of the Giants. He can fly some guys out. But I would imagine he does try to link up with at least some of these guys because, again, you have the advantage. Anthony's injured right now. Put your foot on the gas and try to just keep stepping on it so you ultimately get what you want, which is to start again in the NFL and have a chance to redeem yourself after kind of flaming out with the Giants.
And he wants nothing to do with the discussion of whether he's truly competing to be a starting quarterback, right?
Yeah, he is, but, I would just, like, hey, man, are you going to ever tell us you want to start or play?
Oh, right now he ain't competing. He is the starter. I mean, until Anthony Richardson's going to have to get back into this competition.
That is a very good point you just made. He has this, when training camp begins, Anthony Richardson will be QB2, assuming he's healthy.
Right.
And if he isn't healthy, obviously that is very detrimental towards whatever he wants to get out of this season.
239-1070, number to call. And right now we've got Don on the line getting ready for Game 4 at the Fieldhouse tonight. Good morning. Happy Friday, Don. We're all doing well. What are you looking forward to tonight?
It's game day. I'm looking forward to getting up 3-1. That just getting the anxiety over of not letting it go 2-2. Huge game.
Don, who's your favorite pacer of all time?
Probably Billy Keller.
Ooh,
old school.
Way
I
back
like
here.
that.
ABA.
Yeah.
I'll be curious if we get some ABA appearances at all, from a Jumbotron standpoint. James, correct me if I'm wrong. Pacers on the Jumbotron the other night. Former Pacer. Obviously Reggie. Did we get Mark Jackson on the Jumbotron?
No,
I didn't see him. They were spending a lot of time on Rick Smits too.
And that was TV.
Right.
Yeah, TV.
In Arena, it was Reggie and Edgerrin James were the only two. And
right. Obviously,
Pat.
you had McAfee.
Yeah.
Big O, of course. Yeah.
All right.
Yeah, that was great. But, this is not necessarily the most important game in Pacer history. Game 4 of the 2000 series, I would say, was at this point. It is one of the best, most important games. But there's been some big ones in the past, and I'm planning on them coming through this time too.
Don, thank you for the call. Have a great weekend. Enjoy tonight. Yeah, Game 4 of that 2000 series, it's kind of an interesting point that Don brings up. That was back in the old format of 2-3-2. 2 on the road, 3 at home, 2 on the road. You had lost the first 2 out in L.A. You won Game 3 in your own building. You ended up throttling them in Game 5. Game 4 was Shaq fouling out, and it was really Kobe on the scene for the first, I think, true time in his NBA life, was Kobe being Kobe. I think the difference for me in Game 4 tonight, though, I guess is rather elementary. They don't have Kobe. They don't have Shaq. I know that sounds really elementary, but
analysis.
A 2-2 in 2000 with Kobe and Shaq. Granted, maybe you do win Game 5 again, and you go up 3-2, and now the Lakers have their backs against the wall, but still, they got Kobe, and they got Shaq, and they're back in the Staples Center. In this situation tonight, if the Thunder win, it's 2-2, but they don't have 2 of the, 20 greatest players of all time?
Yeah.
So I understand where Don's coming from, but this Game 4 just seems so much more realistic than that Game 4
That's
did.
a good way to put that, in my opinion. And Kobe was, the context here, he was 21.
I forget
Matherin is older than 21.
Yeah, Matherin's 22. I forget the context around Game 4, but it was the Lakers were on Kobe's back, literally, to try and win that game. Was it? It was
Shaq had fouled
overtime.
out.
It went to overtime.
And, I believe that was the Kobe, putting his arms out, everybody calm down.
Huge shots Kobe hit to win that game.
It's when he was becoming Kobe.
That was the coming out, I'm a superstar, and maybe I am just as good, if not better than Shaquille O'Neal.
All right, in case you're wondering, Mark Dykton, you already know this. We talked about it in the first hour. OKC still a 6-point favorite heading into this game tonight. You like that? You like the money line? What do you like tonight?
Oof. I don't know if I like it. The Pacers have been underdogs the whole time, but this feels like a back against the wall Thunder team that you're going to get. So I wonder if we're going to get more of a Game 2 vibe from the Thunder, where they're like, we have to win this one. We can't go down 3-1. We're going to give it our best shot.
You get plus 90.
I don't know if I'm touching it
Plus
today.
190.
Would you take Pacers in the points? Would that entice you at all?
That's plus 110.
I might have to up that point differential, I feel like. Maybe
I
get to double
saw
digits.
A wild stat yesterday that the Thunder are 0-8 on the road in the postseason against the spread.
Interesting.
Wow.
So to put that into
surprise
context for our non-betting people, obviously the Thunder aren't 0-8 on the road in this playoff series or in this playoffs, but 0-8 against the spread. So tonight they could win the game, but if they only win by 3, they lose against the spread, which, as Jeff mentioned, is 6. And right now, if we're doing radio in Oklahoma City, what are they saying? We won Game 4 on the road in Denver, and we won Game 4 on the road in Minnesota. So they lost Game 3s in both of those series. The Denver series, they were down 2-1. They won a slugfest in Game 4 over Nikola Jokic on the road.
That was clearly the most important game of that series.
And in Game 4, the T-Wolves series, Minnesota pantsed them in Game 3. They play Game 4, and that was a great back and forth into game. That was one of the better clutch games the Oklahoma City Thunder have had in this playoff series. So that's where they would be pointing to.
All right, we get a repeat performance from Tyrese Halliburton as well. I don't want another Game 2 performance.
Yeah.
Yep, gotta keep it up.
Game 3. Let's keep it going.
All right, coming up in a moment. Get in line now. 239-1070. We got the Scotty J Pop Quiz from Jiffy Lube. It comes your way next. It's guaranteed to be a banger. We'll do it right here on 93.5 and 107.5 The Fan.
You're listening to the Fan Morning Show on Sports Radio 93.5 and 107.5 The Fan.
Game day, Friday. Is anything getting done at work today?
No, I mean, besides this job right here, I'm not so sure. And, you know, I am guilty of this as a writer at The Athletic. They're like, hey, we need this at the gun, and we need this as soon as the buzzer sounds. I will sit there and watch as much of that game as I possibly can until the last, 3 minutes. I'm like, I should probably write something.
Yeah, it's the Fan Morning. Yep.
It usually works that way.
Fan Morning Show with he's James Boyd and Kevin Bowen over to my left. Mark Dykton across from me. I'm Jeff Rickard. And who is our contestant for the Jiffy Lube Pop Quiz this week?
Have you studied? Can you handle the pressure? Sharpen your pencils. It's time for the Pop Quiz. Brought to you by Jiffy Lube, Indiana's favorite oil change since 1985.
Mark, and the answer to that question is?
Pick a number.
Well, he said number one. He wanted fast
did
fingers.
you say number one? I'm sorry.
Well, yeah, I'm going to stick with number one. I did not choose, but yeah, number one.
Then we go to Brian.
Good morning, Brian. How you doing?
I'm great.
You ready to go?
Baby, let's go.
All right. Are you going to be worshiping at the feet of Scotty when this is over? Or are you going to take him down?
I don't know about worshiping at the feet of anybody, but, you know, we're going to get it in, though.
It's all just radio fun. That's how it works. All right. We ready to go?
Yes, sir. Let's do it.
Question number one. The Pacers host Oklahoma City in Game 4 of the NBA Finals tonight. Shai Gilgeous-Alexander. He's led all scorers in the finals with a 32-point-per-game average. Who is second in scoring average during these finals? Is it A, Tyrese Halliburton, B, Jalen Williams, C, Benedict Mathurin, or D, Pascal Siakam?
We'll go B, Jalen Williams.
Brian, number two, appreciate you calling. In the 2000 finals, it was Shaq leading the Lakers in scoring in all 6 games of their win over the Pacers. 3 different Pacers led the team in scoring during the series. Which of the following Pacers did not lead the team in scoring in at least one game? I would not have gotten this right. A, Rick Smits, B, Mark Jackson, C, Jalen Rose, D, Reggie Miller.
Let's go Mark Jackson.
Yeah, I wouldn't have got it right, and I guess when you consider who the other opposition was as the other center, I guess it makes a little sense. Sorry, Brian, I couldn't hear you. Who did you say?
Mark Jackson.
You were breaking up a little bit. Could you say that?
Rick Smith.
Rick Smith. Loud and clear. Okay. And they say our signal's weakening.
Right.
No, hell no.
That's the long and short of it right there.
It's
there
not
you go.
weakening. Thank you.
All right, number 3 here. The Pacers won 3 championships in the Old American Basketball Association. Which of the following arenas was not the site of a Pacers championship clinching game? Was it Freedom Hall in Louisville? Got to help me out here, guys. Is this Nassau?
Nassau Veterans
Memorial Coliseum in New York, the Los Angeles Memorial Sports Arena, or the Indiana State Fairgrounds Coliseum?
Oh, man, you guys are killing me. I wasn't even born.
Hey, brother, I hear you.
Let's go. Let's go Nassau.
Okay.
All right. Question number 4. We talked about this earlier. The Edmonton Oilers tied the Stanley Cup final with a win over the Florida Panthers in overtime last night. The Oilers are trying to become the first NHL team from Canada to win the Cup since the 1993 Montreal Canadiens. The 93 Canadiens were coached by former head coach of the World Hockey Association's Indianapolis Racers. Was it Jerry Moore, Pat Stapleton, Jacques Demers, or Ron Ingram?
I know nothing about the subject matter, but I like the
The
name.
Montreal Canadiens. Yeah, you said Jacques Demers?
Yes, sir.
Sounds like a former Indy 500 champion. Sounds like the right answer. All right, number 5 here, Brian, to round it out. On this day in 2003, Roger Clemens of the Yankees did something that had never been done before or since in Major League Baseball. What did Clemens do? Did he become the only pitcher in MLB history to strike out 20 batters in a game twice? Did he record his 4,000th strikeout and pick up his 300th win? Did he strike out 5 batters in an inning? A little confused how that happens. I guess drop 3 strikes. Or did he throw a no-hitter at Coors Field?
Let's go no-hitter.
All right, let's see how you did. 5 questions. Scotty trying to trip you up every step of the way. Pacers host OKC tonight, Game 4. We know that SGA has led all scorers in the finals with a 32-point-per-game average. Who is second in scoring in the average scoring average during these finals? He said Jalen Williams, Mark Baker. Oh, there we go.
He was a lot better in Game 3, but he has struggled those first couple games.
In the 2000 NBA Finals, Shaq led the Lakers in scoring in all 6 games of their victory over the Pacers. 3 different Pacers led the team in scoring during the series. Which one of the following Pacers did not lead the team in scoring in at least one game? The 2000 NBA Finals. You had to make him stretch it a little bit, but he finally got there with Rick Smith.
Smothered chicken! Please give me some smothered chicken on that one.
Was that James Boyd or is that Quinn
Smothered
Buckner?
chicken! Give me some smothered chicken in Game 4 tonight.
I'm with Brian. I would have said Mark Jackson there. So nice pivot.
Very quickly, he was correct. Jacques Demers was the coach of the Canadiens when the last Canadian team won. And question number 5. No, Roger Clemens did not throw a no-hitter at Coors Field in Denver. He did record his 4,000th career strikeout and pick up his 300th win in the same game. But it's Freebie Friday, and Brian, you have
skipped number 3, by the way.
The Jiffy Lube. Which was the number 3 then? Oh yeah, it was the Indiana State Fairgrounds Coliseum, the one place where that was not a site of the Pacers championship clinching game. Thank you very much. But Freebie Friday, he's got the Jiffy Lube prize pack. So congratulations to Brian. Real quickly tonight. Pacers, do they win or not?
They do. What a night. What a weekend. Soak it up. These things do not grow on trees. Indiana have an absolute blast.
James, 5 seconds or less.
I'm going to say no because SGA is going to bounce back.
I say the Pacers win another close one. Enjoy it. Jake at noon.